One. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the McDonCast, the funnest podcast in town, the only podcast around.
Correct, as
Cena
always.
is just chilling over there. She's not moving
hanging
at all.
out on the big pile
The
of
big
laundry.
pile of laundry that's covered up by a blanket.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty, we've got a lot of news. Today has been just a really insane day for the internet. Just a whole lot of random stuff.
None of
together.
which I put in the docket.
None of which we don't usually cover that kind of stuff. There's just been a lot of weird, random stuff going on.
Honestly, I feel like in total, YouTube drama has like dramatically died off.
Yeah, I mean, to some, it's not. There's not like as big of a.
There's no Jake Paul-esque characters.
Yeah, there's no like super villains right now.
It's been a while too.
I feel like Keemstar was really the last big like YouTube super
But
villain.
even that, like
He's still around. Like that didn't affect him at all.
no, but like even
Oh, Leafy is still is like just being absolutely insane on Twitter, but like no one
we've all
cares.
agreed to ignore him.
Yeah, we all understand that like he's a psycho.
All
and
the
we don't really care.
lunatics, like their viewers, I think, have aged beyond them.
Yeah,
Like most of the the people on YouTube that attracted like that kind of attention, like from like 12-year-olds, which like Leafy's base was like most
yeah, like 12
years
to 16-year-olds.
even iDubbbz, a lot of like 12-year-olds, right?
Yeah,
Jake
and he doesn't
Paul.
even make that kind of stuff anymore.
I'm talking about like old like content.
Yeah, like
creators.
H3,
Jake Paul,
iDubbbz, Filthy
mostly
Frank.
12-year-olds. Like those guys are like all those kids have aged, and all of the new young kids.
Well, Jake Paul's kind of quit YouTube now. He's like just does boxing.
Yeah.
Logan still does his like podcast.
I'm
but
saying
no
like
one cares.
the age of like the kids who were into that kind of stuff have aged out of it.
Well, okay, there's still
And the
new
new-
12-year-olds though.
But the new younger kids are all on TikTok. They don't watch YouTube.
Yeah, I guess TikTok has like super villains every once in a while, but they're so
But
like
TikTok, everything is in such like its own specific
yeah, it's in
little
such a
bubble. None
small
of it really ever bursts
microcosm.
out.
Yeah, you very rarely have. The only one I can really think of is like Charlie D'Amelio's dad. Remember that when he was like going through a divorce and like threatening young Grady.
But even that's because of like it was like a legal publicity thing, and like they have a TV show and stuff like that.
Well, he's not even in the TV show.
I'm saying that's why like also Charlie D'Amelio's like the biggest person on TikTok.
I don't think she is anymore.
She had the most followers.
She was
at
for a
one
long
point.
time, yeah.
Well, like, that's why.
But that's what I'm saying. Like that's really the only one that was like
Yeah.
had enough notoriety to become.
I'd
Popular.
say
What's the girl? The one who used to do the psychology life hacks or whatever. You know, she was like 10 psychology tricks that'll.
See, I don't know what you're talking about.
She
That's
got a
how I know
Netflix
it's not-
show.
Where?
Only
Paltrow?
Jayus, that was her name.
Who?
She did like psychology tips, but like she ended up getting like a Netflix show where like she did like magic with a dude. But anyway, she like turned out to be like using the N-word a lot, and so she got like bullied off TikTok.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say like she turned out to know nothing about psychology.
Oh yeah, no, that too. She was she was literally reading off like Google listicles of like psychology tips.
Who isn't? Every YouTuber is just reading off of Wikipedia. That's all they do. That's all they know how to do.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I don't know. It's been a time. There's not really any big YouTube drama.
YouTube's approaching 20 years.
And even like the most recent, like the two that have been most notorious today, like one is more like gross negligence, and the other is also gross negligence. So like, it's not necessarily malicious. I mean, as far as we know so far, the investigation into one of them is still ongoing. But like the I show speed thing, that's just like a goof.
I can't believe YouTube's almost been around for 20 years.
Yeah, 2 more
That's
years.
kind of crazy. Remember when it turned like 10 and YouTube Rewind did a big deal about it? Remember YouTube Rewind, by the way?
When did they stop those? 2017?
2018.
2018?
No, well, they did the 2018 one.
The 2018 one was just the list of
No, the
of
2018
top
one
10
was the
videos.
last time they did the people like running around screaming about Fortnite.
Yeah.
2019 was just like a top 10 video. And then after that, and then they said they were going to stop from COVID because they couldn't do one because of the COVID year, and then they just never came back. They should bring them back.
They should bring them back. Like, who cares if they were
honestly,
cringe?
make them cringe and bad. That's fun.
What made them, like, fun.
I know the meme was that we all disliked that one, but that was because it was funny.
And there were also, like fan-made YouTube rewinds that were, like, usually better than, like, the real one. But, like, now that YouTube Rewind stopped, like, no one makes the fan-made ones either now.
Because no one remembers YouTube Rewind because on the internet, everyone's memory is 15 seconds long.
Yeah. It's just kind of sad. It's like, it's just
Bring
the
it back.
era is gone.
Bring it back.
Maybe we don't need to bring it back.
I miss YouTube Rewind.
Maybe we've had maybe that's like where it was supposed to end.
But you know what YouTube Rewind helped with? It was that when YouTube Rewind came out, all of those memes were officially dead, and we did a reset.
Yeah, it killed off the year's memes.
Ever since,
the memes don't die.
The memes, they leak around. People bring them back. No, they're supposed to last exactly a year, and then all die, and then we reset.
It's like how in Elden Ring, the like thing that kills everyone was stolen, so now everyone's stuck being alive forever, and it's just like there's zombies everywhere.
We need that definitive thing that says
we need to bring back the destined death back. We have killed this.
It is no longer fun or funny. It is dead now.
Now,
Casey Neistat's talking about K-pop.
Now what we do is we just wait for whoever the meme is about to acknowledge it, and then that's when it dies.
Yeah.
Like with like Dark Brandon and Morbius.
Yeah. Imagine how they could have worked in Morbius.
Did you see the clip where Joe Biden drank out of the Dark Brandon cup, and then everyone was like, "He's actually evil. This is not funny. This is very serious." I'm like, actually, no, it's not serious. It's a goof. It's a goof that his intern told him to do. He does not even understand what Dark Brandon is.
Did you see his press secretary accidentally tweeted on her account something that was supposed to go on his account? So it was in first person as Joe Biden, but it wasn't on his account.
That's awesome.
You know why?
Because he doesn't use Twitter. No, of course he doesn't use Twitter. The dude's 80 years old.
At least you knew Trump tweeted from his.
He probably has a flip phone.
Did you see that the Justice Department has access to his Twitter account?
Yeah.
They're gonna go through all of his
The Justice Department has access to everyone's Twitter account.
Subpoenaed it for one of his many criminal trials.
Because right now he's being indicted for
He just got indicted again yesterday.
For election interference because he asked, was it the Missouri governor?
Brian Kemp, the Georgia governor.
The Georgia governor. He was like,
he fined 11,000
Yeah, there's the
votes.
phone call of him being like, "Yo,
they're very good.
Give me more votes." And then he's like, "Guys, no, actually, it's perfectly fine to ask your friends to do election fraud. It just so long as they don't do it. But I'm allowed to tell him to do it. He just so long as he doesn't do it, I'm fine."
No, but they got access to his Twitter, so they're gonna look through all of his drafts for evidence.
Yeah, that's dumb.
Which, like, what do they think they're gonna find?
Even if you do find something, it's freaking Twitter. Like,
well, also,
what are you
like,
gonna do?
He didn't like if he didn't post it, then like technically didn't say it. Like, it's just stored somewhere.
Is that even? I don't even know if that's like admissible in court.
If I wrote a note threatening someone, but I never
like if you wrote on a sticky note, reminder, threaten guy, and you like stuck it somewhere, and then it like fell into the trash can, and then eventually you end up punching that guy, and the FBI raids your garbage and finds the sticky note, and he's like, "Guys, he was planning on it." Like, I don't know.
I guess you could say it for like motivation.
Yeah, well, it establishes intent, I guess.
Like, he never like. If you're looking for him to be like, "I don't think the election was actually stolen, but I want you to raid anyway," like he was never going to.
I don't even know why you need to go through his DMs because he has a phone call on record of him doing the thing.
Him saying that is not technically a crime. The crime would have been what they're trying to prove is that he knew and thought that the election wasn't stolen, but was doing that anyway to incite some sort of political action by his followers.
Yeah.
If he didn't and he actually believed that it was stolen and he did that anyway, that's not a crime.
Get like find votes is like that's not a thing that they can do.
Well, that's
illegal.
I think they're charging him on conspiracy, I think.
Yeah, like if you robbed...
In one of them, he's on trial in like 8 different states.
Like if you go into a bank and you rob the bank, and then like the cops show up and you go, "Oh, no, I was just asking to withdraw money." Like that's... You did the thing, dude.
What they're trying to prove is intent. No, the big difference between the most recent indictment and the other ones was that if he is convicted in the Georgia indictment,
he can't pardon himself.
He can't pardon himself even if he's elected as president because he would be under state prosecution, he'd be in a state prison.
Yeah.
So unlike the Jack Smith, the federal one, if he gets convicted on that one, say by some miracle of Jesus Christ himself that he was elected president from jail, he could pardon himself out of federal prison, but he can't.
Yeah, he can't out of state prison.
Which I would
Now,
like
he
to see.
could-
I would like to see the absolute idiocracy timeline where he is elected president from
In jail.
Georgia state prison and has to be the president while in state prison.
That would be a historical moment.
I think at that point, no one would know what to do anymore.
I wonder if he would just try to like blackmail the Georgia governor into get like pardoning him out of jail. That's what I would assume like the most logical thing to do would be at that point.
I think if he would be elected, they'd have to pardon him just so that the government could function.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like he would effectively just blackmail Georgia until
They would just let him out.
He would just like send in federal troops to Georgia to like bust him out of jail.
Could we have to use
Oh
the
my
prison
gosh,
phone?
that would be awesome.
He has to pay
this
50.
would be so
The
cool.
president of the United States has to pay 15 cents to use the jail phone
to call
the military.
whoever his running mate ends up being. So he calls Sarah Palin and is like, "Yo, send in the troops.
I honestly
get me out of here."
I think there's I know this has turned into our political show now, but I think there's a very real chance.
Hey, we're not saying whether or not he's guilty. We're just saying it
No.
would be hilarious.
No,
if
this is
happened.
what's gonna.
This is just what would be funniest.
Be funny. I think there is a pretty likely chance that he is convicted on something and faces some sort of sentence early next year before the Republican convention, gets elected to be their nominee anyway, but then all the delegates act against.
Well, if I remember, I think one of his court dates is set for like as far back as they could get it, just to get it as close to election season as possible.
The federal one is they're trying to fast track and get like as early next year as possible.
Because he's on trial for insurrection with the January 6th thing.
Yep, the
and
Georgia
election
thing.
interference with the Georgia thing.
The classified
which has 12 other charges as well.
They all have multiple.
Yeah,
charges.
he's got like racketeering and a bunch of other things.
The classified documents one in Florida, and then the campaign finance violation in New York. The Florida one, he'll probably be okay.
I also like how like all of his like crack legal team, like most of them are in jail now.
They're all his crack legal team is being indicted with him.
Yes,
in multiple
so like
cases.
that's what I'm saying.
Which means if he loses the case, his lawyer will go to jail.
Half of them are either in jail now or also on trial for the same stuff.
I know Rudy Giuliani is going to go on trial with him. They're trying to.
Oh my gosh, the funniest thing
They're
about
trying
that.
to try all of him and his like.
Rudy
all
Giuliani
at
made
once.
his name like prosecuting people for racketeering, which he is now currently facing charges
There is
for.
I forget the name of it, but there's a way you can charge like someone and their whole enterprise
It's racketeering.
all at once. It was designed so that they could like indict mobsters and then all their cronies at the same time.
Yeah.
But they're using it for Donald Trump and all of his crack legal team.
Well, because he's got his
And his
little
advisors.
cabal of like Rudy Giuliani.
Yeah,
and-
that other lady.
See, I think that's why Mike Pence has like tried so hard to like
Honestly,
to distance himself from Trump. I think.
well, also Donald Trump has like completely disowned him and
he's
called
like-
him a moron.
Yeah, that too. But like, I feel like a lot of it is also Mike Pence wants to avoid going to jail.
Yeah.
Because Mike Pence was there for all of this,
If-
presumably.
It's a fun, wild time. No, I can't wait to see what happens when they have to go to convention, and there's a very good chance Trump will not be able to show up because he is either in jail or on trial for something.
I want to see him do debates.
Like, what are they gonna do?
I want to see him do debates against Joe Brandon from his prison cell over Zoom.
That
would be
amazing.
iconic.
No, even if he is
And then Joe Biden could just be like, "You're in jail, Jack."
even if he is the nominee, and he somehow escapes any sort of jail time, I don't think I'll debate Joe Biden. I think Joe Biden will be like, I as a moral person will not debate this man.
Yeah, that's so lame.
I know it would be his clever. It would be a clever way.
He'd be like, "I won't even dignify a
Yeah.
debate with this hooligan."
yeah.
That's so
And
lame.
one, it would be like a moral grandstanding.
That's the best
And
part.
two, it would avoid him having to be on live television.
That's
for
the
an extended
best
period
part
time.
of like the election cycle is debates happening, and every single time, every single human in America goes, "My guy clapped your guy. My guy was so much better than your guy. My guy destroyed him.
That didn't really happen last time.
But that's because there were no debates last time.
Well, in 2020 they did 2, and I remember after the first one, literally everybody was just like, "That gave me a headache."
It was so lame.
It was like a fight at an old folks' home. It was literally 2 elderly men screaming at each other for 2 straight hours.
It's like they weren't even talking to each other. It's like
no, they were not even. They were just talking over.
They were
each
just
other
yelling
the entire time.
about random stuff.
Yeah, it was like watching a fight at an old folks' home.
Yeah, it was watching 2 people slowly die of dementia on screen.
And I can't wait for them to do it again now that they're both 4 years older.
But it'll be even better if it happens over Zoom from jail.
And Trump's like can't figure out how to use the Zoom call right. There's prisoners walking around in the background.
Don't mind him. That's Big Joe back there. Not like Small Joe. You're a very small Joe. Not as big as Big Joe.
Joe, when I get out of here, I'm gonna sick Big Joe on you like you've
I think
never
Big Joe would be a
seen.
better president than you, Small Joe. I'm assuming that there's a guy in the prison named Big Joe for this bit to work.
What do you think he would do in jail? Like, you think someone would like? You think he would?
No,
you think he'd be like in a gang?
He's rich enough that he would get his like own fancy cell with like a fancy.
No, he
TV
would
and
be
stuff.
in like the most private of. He would be in his like it would be like a
Yeah,
hotel
like
for
you know
him.
how
He would not interact
you know how
with
Bill
any other
Cosby
prisoners.
had like a fancy jail cell
Yeah.
that was like basically a living room. Like he would have like one of those.
I just want to like I wish like if he was in like normal like
Normal people jail?
like general people
Gen
jail.
Pop?
Yeah, in Gen Pop. I just want to know like would people either like treat him as like a cult leader or like all try to kill him?
I guess it would depend on where he goes to jail. Because depending on the
if he goes to jail in Florida, he would just become king of the jail.
But like if he went to jail in Texas or like any state with like a very large minority population like in the jail, he would probably not do very well.
How would he eat his McDonald's from jail?
Oh, he would. The guards would be.
They'd
giving him
smuggle it in
McDonald's.
for him.
He'd be paying off the guards to get him McDonald's.
When the strike is over, someone write a cartoon sitcom called Trump in Jail. About all
Didn't
his wacky
no, you
misadventures
don't
in
want him to do
prison.
that because then they'll hire Brooklyn Dad Defiant to write the book.
What's he up to?
He's writing a book where Donald Trump goes to jail. That's
I
how
haven't
he became
seen him
famous.
since Trump got.
Oh, you know
banned
what?
from
I don't
Twitter.
think he has Twitter Blue. I think that's why we haven't seen him.
He's got to get.
Wait, we gotta do some research.
Everybody, let's look.
We
up
gotta.
what's Brooklyn Dad Defiant up to.
You guys probably don't know who this is. This is a guy we
So
don't even follow him. We just like he's just around all the time. We just see him all the time.
back when Trump was on Twitter, there was like this group of 6 guys, and all they did was reply to every single Donald Trump tweet, and that's it. That's what they literally did for money. Like that's what his job is, was just replying to Donald Trump.
Oh, he does have Twitter Blue.
And then Trump got banned from Twitter. No, he doesn't. He just has 1 point.
No, he does.
Did he pay for Twitter Blue?
You have
Account
to.
is verified, but he also has
You have
over
to
a million
have,
followers, so he could.
You have to get an average of I think 5 million views per tweet or something like that to get it for free. Elon published the guidelines.
I saw it was
required
just
for
a million followers. You automatically.
There's a couple different thing. You know how like YouTube for monetization you have to hit like a couple different
Yeah.
goalposts. It's the same with getting free verification.
Yeah.
As far as I understand.
I feel bad for him.
Oh, he's just talking about.
He's definitely lost out on some major revenue since Trump got
Oh
banned.
yeah, he's not popping anymore. He's only getting like
10,000 views a tweet.
yeah. He's not hitting the same way he
Come
used
on,
to.
buddy. Trump needs to come back.
It's just because
so that
Trump's like out of it. Trump's not in the game right now.
well, he's on Truth Social.
Yeah, he's not in the game. He's not playing
He
with
needs
the
to
big
come
boys.
back to Twitter. He cannot
does.
run for president again without being
How
on
does
Twitter
he?
and
How,
saying
yeah,
crazy things.
that's how he won. He went on Twitter and said crazy
He
things.
literally became the president because he just insulted every other politician.
He was so much more charismatic and so much better at like
Yeah.
the internet game than all the other candidates, and he just like
He
kind
was
of
basically
bulldozed
like
them.
a toxic 12-year-old in a YouTube comments
he's-
as a man.
He's the Leafy is here of like politics. He just bullied everyone relentlessly into submission over the internet until he
put
won.
him in charge of the world.
Until they put him in charge of the world. It'll
Fun
be
times.
all right. What's even going on?
To that out.
What's even happening? Let's see what's going on. We got TSG. Who's that?
It's a
Someone is
finance
suing
company.
Disney. We got Hasbro doing some things. The strike. We got more info on that. Scott Pilgrim is blowing up on Twitter for some reason. Well, we have the reason. We'll talk about the reason. And we got some Wonder Woman 3 updates, or rather, un-updates.
Yes,
All
and we're
right.
going to talk about
And
the
we saw
last voyage of the Demeter,
I completely forgot that we even saw this
a
movie.
movie that
Like I
did
completely
not do well.
forgot
No
that we
one
saw this. Like actually, I'm just now remembering that I saw this movie, and all I remember is the trailer scenes.
While we go through the news, try to recall any thoughts you had on this film.
I remember.
That I remember you very much disliking, but I'm sure we'll get to.
Oh yeah, there was just a lot of dumb things. It was just like it just happened in ways that were so dumb where I was like, this could not possibly be taken seriously.
Well, if you want to see that part of the video, it's in the description with the time codes.
we
All
have
right.
we got time codes now.
Yes.
When we got time codes.
This is a couple episodes ago. Wonder Woman 3 news. Sam, let's dive right into it. Variety reports that despite the statements made by Gal Gadot, Wonder Woman 3 is not moving forward at DC Studios. We talked about her comments on the last episode, and then like the day after we recorded it, it was immediately contradicted.
James Gunn was like, actually...
No, he hasn't commented on it.
No.
Gunn has not commented on it.
Yeah, but the studio was like, actually, we did not promise you anything.
I did
get pranked.
The only thing James Gunn has replied to recently about DC rumors was that someone, as a joke, like made a post that he had casted a porn star as Lex Luthor, and then a Snyder fan thought it was real.
They said that there was like a rumor going around that he cast Johnny Sins as Lex Luthor.
And there was like a Snyder guy who thought it was real and was like, I can't believe you did this, James Gunn.
Who's that?
That was probably Texas Instruments again.
Oh,
The calculator people keep calling me. I don't know why. Gadot had claimed that she had met with James Gunn and Peter Safran, and that they had promised her that they would develop a third Wonder Woman movie with her. However, no such conversation took place, and no third movie was ever promised. Gunn and Safran had met with Gadot back late last year, but they never told her she would be moving forward as Wonder Woman in anything other than the stuff that had already been shot. All Wonder Woman 3 development was killed, as far as we know, back when Patty Jenkins left the project in December of last year. She, of course, had disagreements with the new management over her script treatment. She was supposed to turn in a full script. She only gave them a treatment, which was co-written by Jeff Johns, who is a big no-no right now.
What'd Jeff Johns do?
He's partially the reason that Justice League turned out the way it did.
Oh, so they don't want him involved.
Yeah, and also apparently wasn't very good, the treatment that she gave.
Yeah, don't say.
The only Wonder Woman related project in the works at DC Studios is the Paradise Lost streaming series for Max. That is, of course,
which does
a prequel.
not have Wonder Woman in it.
Well, I think it is going to have Wonder Woman in it, but she's going to be baby Wonder Woman.
Yeah, not regular Wonder Woman.
Which, honestly, I think that makes sense to do, because Gal Gadot is the only thing that people, I think, widely like.
Does it though? Weren't they just secluded on an
okay.
island for 1,000 years, kind of doing nothing?
I'm not talking about the show. I'm talking about doing a little prequel reboot and then bringing in the new Wonder Woman.
Oh yeah,
because she was probably the one that the casting that people liked the most and were most aware of from that old regime, and so kind of giving that character a little bit of time to reappear, as opposed to like a Superman who it had already been 6 years since we've seen Cavill anyway. Now
yeah, you have a well, no, not
Wonder Woman. You got to give it a little time.
Not if you count Black Adam.
We don't count Black Adam in anything, Sam. Black Adam does not count.
Henry Cavill was there.
He was there, kind of, I guess.
Was in it for 5
Remember
seconds.
when people clapped in the movie theater?
Yeah, that was the best part of the movie, was when it was over and Henry Cavill was there.
All 30 people in the Black Adam.
He shows up at the end of Black Adam to save you from just having seen Black Adam.
If only they had put that scene at the start, I could have gone home immediately.
Exactly.
But speaking of canceled DC things, there was also news this week because our buddy David Ayer took to Twitter.
Okay.
He was talking to one of the Snyder Twitter boys.
As you should always engage in conversation with them. They're not at all crazy.
Ayer claims that he had a conversation with James Gunn a few months ago about releasing his cut of Suicide Squad that he filmed back in 2016, that was taken over by the studio and a trailer company and recut to crap and reshot. and he has been claiming for 7 years now, pretty much on a daily basis, that his cut was a million times better. And he posts photos from his set that weren't in the final movie all the time.
Yeah, you know what I do not care about?
Anyway, he said that
I do not care about that Ayer cut.
he
of
said that
Suicide
Gunn
Squad.
promised that it would have its time to be released. Ayer says he understands that Gunn wants to establish his own universe without any baggage from the previous era. Ayer has also been actively supporting Gunn since he was hired to do The Suicide Squad back in 2019, and has been supportive of Blue Beetle on Twitter, and so is Zack Snyder. So they're unified to promote Blue Beetle, a movie that will bomb at the box office.
Yeah, the movie's gonna do no.
Although the
no
RT
good.
score came out today, and it's pretty good.
Yeah, remember what the RT score for Flash was before it
I don't think
released?
Flash was ever as high as Blue Beetle.
It
is
was
right now.
pretty high.
I think its highest was like a 70 something. Blue Beetle's is in the 80s.
I don't know.
I think Blue Beetle is less likely to have big orbs of CG AI
I think
generated
it's
dead
more
people,
likely-
so I'm hoping it's better.
It's kind of hard to be worse than the Flash, but like the fact that they even gave the Flash that high of a rating at all has thrown into
Well,
question the validity of
Flash 23
of Rotten Tomatoes.
Well, the Flash is at a 64,
No, but that's after it released.
and Blue Beetle is at a.
I'm talking about the
82.
pre-release reviews. They were very high.
I don't think. I think it was only ever high as like a 70 something.
I think it was higher than that.
There
before,
were reviews
before
that
the
were
movie
calling
came
it the greatest movie ever made, but I don't think the RT score was ever that high. Listen as Sam types into his computer.
Here we go. Possible for us to see like the original
Use
before the movie
Wayback
came
Machine.
out. Oh, that's okay.
I love the Wayback Machine.
Yeah, but it's just it's
Thank
another
you,
step.
archive.org.
Okay.
How do you search things on the Wayback Machine?
Yeah. See, that's the thing is I don't know how to use this website.
Oh, here we go. I know what to do.
Rotten Tomatoes.
Tomatoes.
Okay,
Yeah, you just
let's
gotta go
go.
Browse history.
Does it say, okay, not 2010,
Let's
not
see.
2016. I'm looking for a little bit later than that.
Does it go? Is it short? Can you use short like amounts of time?
End of term U.S. government. What on? How do you use this website?
How to use?
I don't need to.
How
I
to
don't
use
need to go there in
computer.
2002. I'm looking for earlier, like a couple months ago. Whatever. I'm pretty sure they were high.
I don't think it was. I can go back and find it, but I don't want to. It's a lot of work. A lot of scrolling. Anyway, Sam, my expectations aren't abysmally low for Blue Beetle.
Mine are
They're
pretty
not
low.
high.
I think that it's the likelihood of it doing well.
Oh, it's not gonna do
Or not
well.
doing well. The likelihood of it being good is
I mean, yeah, just based on their recent
Not-
track record alone, there's a 80% chance it's real bad.
I would say at the very best, at like peak potential for Blue Beetle, I would say it maxes out around Shazam 1 in terms of how good it could possibly be.
Sam one's pretty good though.
Shazam 1 is okay, except for the villain is,
what
I
else
think,
is this
maybe the
directed
worst
by?
villain in all of the DC
Not
movies.
really, isn't it?
Remember how
Feature
lame the
films.
villain in Shazam 1 is? A guy who-
Savannah.
Yeah, he like pukes out gooey monsters.
Yeah. Well, the villain in this one is Susan Sarandon and
Oh yeah, a regular woman.
a businesswoman, and also a red Blue Beetle.
Well, is that her or is
No,
that a
that's
guy she
different guy.
hires?
Of course, it's not gonna be.
That's what I was saying. So it's not her.
70-year-old
It's
Susan Sarandon.
so she's gonna be like standing around while her henchman
She's
goes
the one
and
who
fights Blue
stands
Beetle.
and says the trailer lines, and then the big red one does a big punch.
Who is still unclear as to whether or not that's a different scarab or if they just that's
No,
like an
it's
artificial
a different
one.
character, Sam. Forget its name. Now I have to look it back up.
Red Riot.
Is it Red Riot? I think
Red Beetle.
I think you are right. I think it is something like a Red
No,
Riot.
Red Riot is a character from My Hero Academia.
Oh well, maybe they reused the name.
It's possible.
I can't find it.
Red Beetle.
Let me just look up Red.
That's not a guy. That's the. How would that help you?
I'm no, I can't find it. I don't know. Who cares? Moving on.
All
New trailers. Sam, we got 3 trailers this week. We got one for Scott Pilgrim Takes Off, which is the new anime series
I
adaptation
believe it's coming to Netflix.
of Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. This is going to be 8 episodes long. It's going to release November 17th on Netflix. Of course, Scott Pilgrim versus the World is a series of manga, but it's a Western created book.
So a comic book.
It's a comic book, but they were in like it was like I guess it was.
It's not even like an anime.
It's a 12-issue comic book.
Yeah.
Back from the late 2000s. It was of course adapted into a movie in 2010, directed by Edgar Wright. That bombed real hard, but
has
a
since
very
developed
big cult fan base.
a very dedicated
and has
cult
a
fan base.
Went on to have a extraordinarily famous cast.
One of my high school English teachers really liked it and was like, "Sam, you should watch this movie."
Sam famously
and I watched
dislikes Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
I don't think the movie itself is bad. I think Scott Pilgrim as a character is just bad.
Which again is the point.
No, but he doesn't get better or learn anything. He is just still bad, but gets the girl.
So of course the cast of that 2010 movie is going to come back to voice the characters in this new show, which is really cool. Even got your Brie Larsons and your Chris Evans.
He's
back.
Also just kind of like lame.
The series is going to be all 8 episodes are going to be written by the original comic creator Brian Lee O'Malley and the veteran TV writer Ben David Grabinski. It's being executive produced by Edgar Wright, so
that's cool.
The trailer looks cool. I like the animation. It's just the
it looks sick. It looks like the comic book, but it's moving now.
I'm excited to see a little bit of a longer adaptation. I'm assuming it's going to be 8 half-hour episodes, and of course the movie is like 90 minutes long, so it's going to be much longer.
I would assume 20-minute episodes, just because it doesn't seem like the story. I don't think the story's that long.
Well, I think the comic was
because the comic was only like 12 issues.
So that's like.
And you think how many
8 episodes of content?
Like usually, at least for anime adaptations, 3 chapters of the manga are done per episode.
Volume 1. How long did it? It's 6 volumes. The comic.
And volumes are usually 3 chapters apiece, at least for manga. I don't know if that goes by manga rules or not.
I'm assuming it does because he was trying to draw it in a manga style.
Yeah, so then it would be 3 chapters to a volume. So however many volumes there are, that's roughly how many.
I think it'll be enough. It's plenty of content for a show.
Although some shows go 1 chapter equals 3 episodes, and that's how you get One Piece.
Huh?
You know One Piece, the show One Piece?
I'm aware of One Piece.
You know how it's stupidly long?
Yes.
Yeah, the reason it's so long is because they'll take 1 chapter of the manga and blow it up into 3 episodes.
I thought it was so long because it's been running for like 80 years.
Yes, that's because they're taking forever to adapt it.
A video game trailer. There was a 40-second teaser released for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Last Ronin.
Oh yeah, isn't this like a dark and gritty?
From THQ Nordic. This is based off of the comic book Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Last Ronin, which takes place in a dark and gritty post-apocalyptic future where all but one of the Ninja Turtles have died, and the last one is on a gritty, vengeful quest to avenge their deaths.
Yeah, that's
And the comic, They don't say which one it is. They don't say which one it is initially. It's like a big reveal.
Yeah, it's like the Green Ninja.
So I won't tell you. I know who it is, but I won't tell you. It's not hard to figure out.
Is it the one that's the most popular one?
Maybe. Anyway, they only showed like 1 piece of concept art in the teaser, so I'm assuming this is like 6 years away.
This will not come out for another several years or decades.
It's a pretty good idea for a game. I don't know how the general public's going to react to a dark and gritty Ninja Turtles.
I don't know. When I think of Ninja Turtles video games, I think of like
arcade beat 'em ups. Yeah. They've been doing quite a few of those recently.
The only kind of games they make, and they make like 1 a year.
Hey, if you're gonna branch out, what else has THQ Nordic done? I feel like
they got bought by that massive investment firm, and then have done basically nothing since, as far as I'm aware.
Games. What have you done recently? THQ. Rolling down. They did. I don't know. Are these mobile games? Games published,
do a lot of
games
mobile
distributed.
Because, like I said, they got bought out by an investment firm and have been pumping out like garbage for like the last couple of years.
It takes forever to scroll through.
I think we covered it because we went in. We did like a Google investigation into the group that bought them, and we were like goofing.
Maybe that was another big acquisition.
No, because I think they
They did.
It was at the same time where Square Enix was selling off some of their properties because they sold Tomb Raider to the same group.
They did Biomutant.
Yeah, everyone remembers Biomutant.
They did Destroy All Humans.
Everyone played that remake, which is a remake.
Darksiders 2, which I think is the style that the Ninja Turtles game is going to be in. It's like a Darksiders type game.
I have not ever played or heard of anyone who has played Darksiders.
Not really anything of note. They did the Battle for Bikini Bottom remaster, which
Everyone
agreed was completely mid.
Yeah, because it was, a game that
Granted,
honestly
that
should
was
probably
because
not have been
It was way
redone.
overhyped on Twitter because it was a game that a lot of people enjoyed when they were 7.
Well, no,
and
it's
then they
it's
went
a
back
game.
and played it and realized it's not very good.
It's a game that a lot of people that became very popular recently because a lot of people were speed running it on like Twitch, like way back before Twitch was Twitch. It became very popular to speed run the game on what was it called, like Jack TV or something like that. Back before Twitch changed its name to Twitch, it was a very popular game to speed run, and then they saw like all this hype for the game, so they started developing this remaster. The problem is the reason why people like to speedrun it so much is because there were like stuff you could like the exploits that made it fun to do. But if you remaster the game and make it polished, then kind of takes the fun out of the speedrun, doesn't it?
There's also another trailer for the Continental, which is of course the new John Wick prequel series.
I did not even hear about this.
It's gonna be exclusively on Peacock.
Oh, that's good.
It's going to be 3 episodes long. It's going to air weekly on starting September 22nd. This is about the guy who is the old dude who manages the Continental Hotel in the John Wick films, but he's a young man working for Mel Gibson, who in the 70s managed the Continental Hotel.
Alrighty, I got it.
And the show will follow how he, I guess, inherited the hotel from Mel Gibson.
Wow, he sure does look like a guy who...
It looks like a cheap TV version of John Wick, which I guess is to be expected.
Well, I mean, the hotel room looks the same as the hotel room in John Wick, so I guess they haven't changed...
because it wouldn't make a whole lot of sense.
They haven't updated the hotel rooms in 50 years. Oh, that's the same. They got the same butler guy, too, although the actor's dead now.
Yeah, this is the young butler man.
But all the other people...
I guess worked as a butler for this hotel for 40 years.
And everyone else has
aged way better than the manager.
The manager, the manager aged great because the manager got younger a little bit. It still looks old.
No,
but
not
got
the
slightly
concierge.
Younger. Yeah, no, not the I'm talking about everyone else who owns the hotel.
Yeah, the concierge aged great. Fine wine. Everyone else aged like an old, disease-ridden dog. Anyway, I guess I'll watch it.
I won't because I don't have Peacock.
Yeah, you do.
We do?
Yeah.
Why
I can give you my password.
Oh, I didn't know you had. Why do you have Peacock?
What
else is on Peacock?
I was watched something back. It was like around Oscar season, and there was like a movie I wanted to watch on it. And then they were like, "We're gonna do the Community movie on here in late 2023."
Like, I guess I'll hang on.
And I was like, I guess I'll hang on to it. And then that got delayed.
So now there's no reason.
But then the NFL was like, "There's gonna be a playoff game exclusively on Peacock."
Oh, great!
And I was like, I guess I can't get rid of it yet.
It looks all right. It looks kind of cool. Some of these sets look really good.
Yeah, it's 3 episodes long.
Oh, that
which is the main reason I'm not going to ignore it.
It's how many episodes long?
3.
Oh, it's only 3.
So it's like really
it's basically
short.
a John Wick movie. Then.
Yeah, it's like so I'll check it out.
Yeah, that's not bad. That's not too bad. 3. I can watch.
Like if it was 10.
Ooh, that was cool. She did the leg choke.
The trademark women action film leg choke.
No, not where she hops on him. She like bent him over and then wrapped her leg around him. She didn't go up to him. She brought him down.
Ooh, that's a nice way to mix it up.
We're mixing up the...
Can an action choreographer please find a way for a woman to do a combat?
Black Widow has permanently ruined action choreography for female characters. Because she just did it
on everyone all the time.
Yeah, and then every other female character in every action movie was like, yep, that's the move.
What does the sexy female action heroine do? Oh, they choke people with their legs.
And that is the only move
And that is the only thing they know how to do.
If there is a female character in an action movie who does not have superpowers, that is their go-to signature move every time. Yeah.
It's weird because most of the time they have a gun.
Or a sword or something.
And they choose not to use it.
I mean, Black Widow had freaking wrist taser things that had like infinite little uses that she never uses like twice in the whole series. It dies.
She had to do more leg chokes.
She got to get the leg.
If only she would have leg choked Thanos.
And maybe they wouldn't have died.
Yeah. All right.
What's up next?
WGA strike. There's more strike updates. Okay.
What's going on?
The WGA and the AMPTP met for more discussions on the afternoon of August 16th, which is today as I'm recording this. The talks went on for a number of hours, but concluded with mixed results, according to a source for Deadline. At the meeting, the WGA introduced their counter to the AM. Okay, so the WGA introduced their counter to the AMPTP's counter proposal from last week. So there was a proposal, and then it was countered, and then it was recountered, and now it's just been countered again.
Well, that's how a negotiation works.
Yes. Some things discussed include the AMPTP providing a revision fee up front with the original main fee for writers, which they agreed to. So basically, before you were a writer, you brought onto a movie, you wrote your draft, they paid you, then they said, okay, go back and do these revisions, and then you did the revisions, but they didn't pay you for those. They just paid you that upfront fee initially. So essentially what they're negotiating is they'll slightly increase the upfront fee to account for the revisions that are going to come after.
Did the writers not set their own fees?
Hmm?
Did the writers not be like, this is how much it costs for me to write you this script, like before? How did that work? Or is there just a standard rate that the studios always paid for scripts?
Well, before they...
Like for drafts?
What do you mean?
So, okay, you said that the fee has been increased to account for, like, the revisions.
Yeah.
But how were they...
Well, they agreed to do that.
Yeah, but I'm saying, how did they set the fees before? Like, before this, how did the fee... Was it the same fee across the board for everyone?
I'm guessing there was... well, it depends on, like, what level of writing you were doing. So, like, if you were, like, if there was, like, one credited screenwriter and it's you, I'm guessing there's, like, a certain rate for that that's much higher than, like...
But no, I'm saying...
You did, like, revisions on a draft.
I'm saying, like, on a person-to-person basis. Like, if I'm, like, the best writer...
Yeah.
Am I not going to have them pay me more for a better... For,
I'm
like,
assuming
presumably a better script than, like,
there's
some new guy who's never written anything?
There's union minimums, which they have to pay. And then I'm guessing as you become, like, higher talent, like a bigger
So they're raising
star,
the minimum?
I think they're just slightly raising the minimum, to account for revisions.
Okay.
Because, like, the big name writers are getting paid more than everyone else anyway. Like,
like
Vince Gilligan is getting paid more than Schmojo writing.
That's what I was saying. Like, do they not negotiate their own, like, prices, like, based on?
I'm guessing they do. Just the union is raising.
They're raising the minimum.
That
makes sense. Okay.
All right. Yeah. So, and then
what else is going on?
More conversations went on about the same old topics: preservation of the writers' room, AI usage, streaming viewership statistics. Why they have not... I do not understand the streaming thing, other than the fact that they want to hide which shows are performing well and which ones aren't.
Well,
which is stupid already, because we can measure that viewership. It just takes longer.
Yeah, streaming revenue is, like, kind of non-existent at the moment.
I'm not about revenue. It's about viewership numbers.
Yeah, well,
they don't want to share the viewership numbers for anything.
Oh yeah, that's dumb. I don't know why
because Nielsen does it, but it takes them like a month.
Yeah, because they have to calculate it,
and they only do like the top stuff.
Yeah,
like I think they just don't want to know. They don't want to show what everything is doing, because everything, like, out of the top 10 highest performing shows on streaming, they get to hide all those numbers.
Netflix has done a very good job of making it look like their business model isn't terrible. But it
works for Netflix. It just doesn't work for anyone else.
Well, it used to work for Netflix before everyone else pulled their content off. But hang on, I'm not done. If you have to post your numbers and everyone realizes most of what you make is garbage that no one watches, that diminishes overall faith in the streaming project. It makes it much more apparent that actually not everything is infinite money. There's actually some stuff that is terrible, and we're investing money in wrong places.
Well, did you see that chart I sent out to you? It was a chart from Nielsen from July of 2023, and it has, like, what percentage of television viewership is coming from. So 20% of TV, so of all television and streaming, all that viewership. So 20% of people watching TV are watching broadcast television. So your networks, your ABC, your CBS, your Fox.
And that I guarantee you is 100% news. Maybe like 2% of that broadcast is actually, like, scripted shows.
29.6% are watching cable. So your cable networks.
That's sports.
Your USAs, your ESPNs.
That's
stuff like
that's
that.
all sports right there.
Well, probably not, because it's July.
Well, not right now, but I'm saying generally.
38.7% is streaming. and then they broke down which streaming services are or how much of a percent. So they counted YouTube.
They counted YouTube? That's dumb. You
YouTube
can't
is
count
9.2%.
That's not the same thing. Okay, knock 9% off of that.
But YouTube is streaming content
Not
that people are watching. They're not streaming television
That's like
shows.
social media. We don't count then TikTok should be on here.
I mean,
TikTok blows all these out of the water.
YouTube is social media, but like also YouTube is what you watch
YouTube
on YouTube
has
is
higher
very
production
different than what
value,
you
but that
do.
doesn't mean that it's like a network.
But I'd say
show.
most things that people watch on YouTube aren't like memes. They watch like 30-minute long videos that are essentially episodes of television.
Sometimes, but 90% of like most of the most popular YouTubers are just like reaction channels, like PewDiePie, you know, like any Twitch streamer that like uploads on YouTube, you know, like Ludwig, all those people are just like mostly just reacting to new stuff. But like that to me, YouTube is falls way more under the social media category than the like a streaming service.
Yeah, I don't know why they counted YouTube. I also don't know how they would count YouTube since that's got to be way more than just 9.2% if you count like all YouTube viewers.
Yeah, views? Like, I mean, freaking, like, one dude will get more views than like network television shows on YouTube.
So let's see.
This doesn't make any sense.
They've removed. So they didn't count. They only counted what they call YouTube main. They didn't count They didn't count YouTube TV, which is like the.
Okay, but of course they didn't count YouTube TV. Yeah, obvious. I'm talking about just regular YouTube.
Netflix was of course the highest of the normal services at 8.5%.
And what's other streaming? Just like the
any other
services?
streaming, like your Tubi, like
Damn,
I'm guessing
Pluto made it on here.
I'm guessing like your Slings, like any other random streaming
damn.
app is the other 5.1. Hulu is behind Netflix, but it's only at 3.6%. So Netflix is at 8.5% of streaming viewership.
So much more
Has
than anyone
more than
else.
twice the second closest person.
You could combine the next closest two, and they'd still be smaller than Netflix.
So Hulu is at 3.6%. Prime Video at 3.4%, which is interesting. That's in third place. Disney Plus, all the way down at 2%, and then you get like the just total nightmares. That's Max, formerly HBO
so
Max.
what is this
1.4.
percent of? Like,
so
when I see 20%, 20% of what?
Streaming is 38.7% of all TV viewership. These are breaking down how much of that percentage is
but
each service.
when you say TV viewership, is that people watching? Is that time spent watching? What is that measuring?
I don't know what they're measuring.
Okay,
I'm guessing it's
what is the graph then?
It's viewership. I don't know like what their metric is because the way you view
we kind of need to know that.
the way you view network television and cable is different than how they measure viewership on streaming. So I don't know how they're comparing.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
I'm guessing they're doing
this
it by
graph-
just plain views because if they did it by minutes watched, it's hard to calculate that on.
Well, if they did it by views, then YouTube should be way higher.
Yeah, I don't
than
know
everyone
how
else.
they're measuring YouTube.
It's got to be.
They must be measuring like.
It's got to be time spent watching.
But also, it's impossible. It's almost impossible to measure time spent watching. Like your.
Yeah, because you'd have to calculate views first.
Yeah, I don't know how to do it. I think the streaming data for like the services is more reliable because they measure that all the time. But I don't know how they're measuring YouTube. But if we just ignore YouTube,
I mean, if Google just gave them the analytics, but
it's an interesting snapshot. So Max is at 1.4 on the same level as Tubi.
That's so sad.
Which is at 1.4%.
That is so sad.
I think it's worth noting.
Oh my gosh, it's 0.3 better than Peacock.
So Tubi is
bro.
I think it's worth noting that Tubi is free, which is the reason it's so high.
Bro,
that's just wait.
They're
Sam.
0.3 better than
wait.
freaking Peacock. No one watches Peacock.
So Tubi is free, which is the reason it's so high up there. Peacock is somehow below Tubi at 1.1%. Peacock is on the same level as the Roku channel, which is also at 1.1%.
And is also free.
Peacock used to have a free version. They got rid of it. So I'm guessing they did
no,
experience
they still do. It just has like nothing on it.
Well, I know they were already pulling stuff off of it.
They do still have a free tier. It's just functionally worthless.
Plans start at $6 a month. Yeah, I think they just cut.
No, I think if you make an account though,
hey, I'm on the website and it's not free.
Okay, listen. I think if you make an account on the service, you can watch like the first episodes of shows or something like that. Like there is a
it used
free
to be
component.
free and they got rid of it. It's gone now. It's you either pay $6 or $12. So Peacock is at 1.1, Roku at 1.1, Paramount Plus 1%.
Have they even made a new
Paramount
show since
Plus?
they launched?
Paramount Plus is being beat by the Roku channel, Tubi, Peacock, normal base Hulu, not Hulu Live, HBO Max, which lost subscribers in the last quarter, it is only 0.1% above Pluto TV.
Which is not real. Like, just straight up is not real.
So if I were to guess which one of these services was going to die first, I would go Paramount Plus for sure.
Okay, have they made a single new show since launching?
Yes, they make original stuff all the time. It's just nothing of note.
Like, since the Halo show came out, I have not heard of a single other thing.
Well, they did
that's on their,
I know they did the iCarly reboot, which I guess is pretty big.
People talked about, but no one watched. Like, everyone was hyped about it, but then they learned it was on Paramount Plus and they didn't watch it. How?
They brought Rugrats back.
It must be just really cheap to produce.
They've done a couple SpongeBob spin-offs.
Oh yeah, they did Camp Coral.
Yeah. Trying to think. I know they brought Criminal Minds back for Paramount Plus, which was big on Netflix. Of course, they didn't put the reboot on Netflix, so none of the people who watched it on Netflix watched the new version.
No one's gonna watch.
So why did you do the new version? I don't think. Again, I think the key to streaming success is that most shows that randomly blow up on Netflix, like Suits, is blowing up on Netflix right now.
Yeah,
it's literally just because it's on Netflix and someone's friend watched it.
Yeah.
Like, it is.
I think Suits is because there were clips of it going viral on TikTok. And then people
Again,
were like, I want to watch the Suits show. And so they go to Netflix and be like, oh,
it is almost complete chance what blows up on Netflix.
Yeah.
Right now, the formula, I think, is internet popularity, lots of seasons. Suits has 9 seasons. The Office ran for 9 seasons. Friends was like 10 seasons. It needs to have lots of episodes to binge. And it needs to be on Netflix. So on Netflix, on the internet, and long. Those are the key. The problem with streaming, though, is that most shows are super short, not on Netflix, and no one ever talks about it.
Yeah. Like, I can't remember the last time I saw a show go viral that wasn't on Netflix.
I
guess The Boys, kinda, but that was also very manufactured. Like, they pushed that hard. There were ads on YouTube videos, like sponsored ads for them, like talking about.
I know The Boys has grown in viewership, but it's still. I don't think it's ever reached the level of a Netflix show or like any of the big Netflix shows.
No, but I'm saying, like, I'm thinking of just shows that have gone viral,
or even like a The Office back when it was on Netflix. The Office was huge. It was in the top 5 of viewership every single week. Since it was on the service. And none of the other streaming services really have anything like that just kind of like blows up. Because again, it has to happen naturally. Like The Office just blew up. Like it was random. It wasn't like NBC did a big marketing push for people to watch it on Netflix. They just started watching it on Netflix. It was
functionally like a dying IP for them already.
Yeah, I think like Max is always trying to force Friends down your throat on the homepage. And because of that, no one's just going to naturally... Like, Friends is not going to re-explode.
The only people who are going to watch Friends are people who've
already seen Friends. Yeah. Anyway, moving Speaking of things being forced down your throat, Hasbro is launching Hasbro Entertainment, a new media division that will develop films, television, animation, and other visual media
in today's
based on
episode
the company's library of brands.
This is today's episode of Hollywood learning the wrong lesson from
yet
things.
Another company after Mattel and Crayola to learn the people want more toy movies after Barbie.
That was not the message.
Well, that's what they learned.
You got the wrong
They said
idea.
Barbie's a big hit. It's because they want more of them toy movies.
No, that's because Barbie was actually good.
And was very appealing to women.
Okay.
And a specific vision by a
How
particular
come this
filmmaker,
didn't happen after the Lego movie?
It kind of did.
There was the Bobbleheads movie.
I think the reason it didn't happen after the Lego movie was because the Lego movie was like a hit. It wasn't like the massive hit that Barbie is.
No, it wasn't as big, but it was still like had
the Lego movie.
It had great word of mouth. The movie was good. It had a toy in it.
But the Lego movie made like $430 million. Barbie is going to end up making like $1.6 billion.
Yeah, but you think
so? There is more of an immediate rush to go cash in on the Barbie success.
The first Transformers movie. Why didn't this happen after that?
I think the lesson they learned from the Transformers was not the toy thing. It was the people like long, explosion-heavy robot films.
No, but no one's making strong, character-driven like stories about the human experience from Barbie. They're gonna make
toy
and make toy movies. So how come in Transformers They saw, oh, we got to make big,
Well, there was a little bit of a
heavy
rush to do
explosion
toy
stuff,
movies.
but there
they
was
did like a G.I. Joe after Transformers. They tried to do
but
stuff
that's
like
the
that.
same company. I'm talking about like the industry didn't shift to that idea.
Well, also comic book movies were already dominating at the time. Like the comic book movie is kind of dying off.
But Transformers is
I
not
think-
popular because of its comic book.
I think Hollywood is desperate for like the next big trend.
And they think
Like
it's
you
toys.
saw earlier this year, there was a rush for video game stuff.
Was there?
Like your Last of Us is your Mario's. They greenlit like the God of War show. Like there was stuff like that. Like there's gonna be a rush for video game stuff, and there's gonna be a rush for toy stuff because they're thinking that that's the new IP. I mean, it's the same again, and you see with the product biopics.
I don't see video games taking off the same way superheroes did, though.
I know, but they kind of are because the Mario movie made of $1.5 billion.
Yes, okay, but that movie also cost $20 to make, and also is the most popular video game.
Again, they're not all gonna work, but one of them did work, so they're all gonna try to chase that one thing.
And Last of Us
success.
worked because it was just genuinely good.
Remember in the 2010s, every single company tried to do a cinematic universe. They didn't do it because they were working every time. They did it because one of them worked one time, and they all tried to chase its success.
Okay, but none of them worked. You'd think they would have learned that doesn't work. To just do the same thing again.
The video game movies are not gonna. You think none of these toy movies are gonna work?
Okay,
None of them. Not a single one is gonna be a big hit.
hang on. Idea time. All right, open your brain up. Big
It's
idea
open.
coming
It's
through.
opened up.
All right, you got video game, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got toys, right? You got cinematic universe, right?
Oh, I know where you're going.
I'm thinking we get Detective Pikachu. We get Mario. We get we'll throw Joel in there. Who cares?
Who?
We make a Super Smash Bros. Movie, but with Joel and the guy from Gran Turismo and Pikachu and Mario.
Multi-brand, multi-company,
Smash Bros. Is the answer.
That would make $2 billion.
You do a Smash Bros.
Oh,
movie.
by the way, a Smash Brothers movie would make $2 billion.
For sure. It's every single IP.
Locked in. It's every IP.
The
ever
problem,
made.
the problem is getting to the point where a Smash Bros. Movie is even remotely feasible.
From a legal perspective, it is. From like producing a Smash Bros. Movie, it's not.
No, from a legal perspective, it's nigh impossible.
But they did it for the game.
The closest comparison...
They did it for the
They
game.
did it for the game, but that's very different. Because I feel like video game companies are a lot more friendly with each other, generally speaking, than movie companies are.
Yeah.
Like, you would never see, like, Mickey Mouse showing up in the Gran Turismo movie. That ain't gonna happen. But you might see...
The Looney Tunes were in Who Framed Roger
You might
Rabbit
see
back
a
in
Mickey
the
Mouse
90s.
costume show up in the Gran Turismo video game. Because I feel like video games, for some reason, companies are a lot more willing to
it wouldn't be Mickey
buddy-buddy
Mouse
with
because
each
that's
other.
Disney. But you could see a Mario out.
You get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But no, okay. So we the problem would be, number one, you have to establish a bunch of different solo video game universes. Second,
But they've already started. We got the Mario.
we have
got
Mario,
the Sonic.
Sonic and Pikachu, and that's
We
all
got
we have so far.
Pikachu. Zelda's on its way. It's gonna
Zelda
happen.
will happen one day.
They keep
maybe.
Metroid is an idea that's
Metroid
thrown around every couple of
exists.
years. Halo's got a TV show.
The Master Chief's not in Smash Bros.
We can add him. The Last of Us has a TV show.
It's possible.
Uncharted has a movie.
But there's potential.
There's definitely
Sorta, maybe.
potential. No,
Who would even make that?
what?
How would you?
It would
make
have to
that?
be a combination of multiple different. studios.
The closest comparison
would be the Sony Spider-Man deal.
No,
In terms of studios.
No, to like building that to that kind of event would be like Civil War or Avengers Endgame. That would be
Building to a Smash Bros. Movie. Yes,
that's the equivalent of what Smash Bros. Would be.
Yeah.
Would have to be in order for this idea to make
it
any
would
sense.
be Infinity War, but with Mario and Sonic.
But that'd be so cool. It
would
might
be cool.
suck.
It would make $2 billion.
I almost
It would not
guarantee
be a
it
good
wouldn't
movie.
make any sense
It
at
would
all.
essentially be just a bunch of companies advertising products for like 2 hours.
Oh, so wait, it's the Lego Movie.
Yeah,
Except for the Lego Movie had some random guy as the main character
and it
instead
was
of
well
like
written though.
an IP.
No, I think you're seeing a run on like what's the next thing after superhero movies? Like we've gotten a lot of the product biopics.
Yeah,
Your
but those
Flamin' Hots,
those
your
are
Airs,
not
your
they don't take off
Tetrises.
the same way.
I know, but we got those. We got video game stuff. Your Mario's, your Uncharted's, your Sonics. You got your toy movies.
I think
your
we're kind of in a
Barbies.
good era right now because they don't know what to do next,
And
so
so
they're
they're
making a
just
lot of
trying random
actually solid
crap.
projects.
Yeah, like I think Oppenheimer's a big hit, and I think the lesson they're going to learn from that is people want old man history biopics, and I think you're going to see like
Yeah.
the Kennedy movie,
Oh, that'd be funny though.
the the FDR movie.
That'd be so boring.
Remember Einstein? Let's do another Einstein. Like you're going to see stuff like that.
Yeah, I could see that. I could
Again,
see that
all
going
Hollywood does is chase trends and learn
on.
bad
Ooh,
lessons.
what happens when a Hamilton movie comes out?
Same, they did that. They did that one already. They
No,
did a Hamilton.
they're making a movie adaptation, not just like a
Like,
recording.
when
to
are they
play.
gonna do like a?
No, it's
full
already
feature?
in production. Like
No, they're not.
They said that they were gonna do one.
They've never said that.
They
Their
have
plan
said that.
was to do. Remember that the film
There's-
stage play?
Yes, there's that on
Disney
Disney Plus.
The plan was to release that in theaters, but
That-
then they moved it during
I
COVID.
feel like that is not the thing that.
No,
I'm
I don't know
talking
if Hamilton would work as a movie,
about. Why not?
because a key part of Hamilton as a show is the choreography and like how it moves
So do the
and how the set
choreography in
changes.
movie.
No, but it all just blends together. It's all seamless, like from scene to scene, like, and they're just like chugging through time periods. Like Hamilton, and also it's all like the way it's choreographed is all simultaneous, and like the rap lyrics and every song just like leads into the next one. Like it's like super fluid.
Okay,
It's
we
all,
have movies that
it's
are
all
musicals.
essentially one long scene though. Like other musicals have like breaks. Like there's a number and then there's dialogue and then there's a number.
Yeah, there's no like dialogue.
And there's like
there is, but there's
and
very
there's like
little.
scene ends here. Pick up later on next scene. Like Hamilton just goes for 3 hours and it doesn't stop.
So we
ever.
come. What was that movie where it was
Like it would
one-
have to be like one take.
What was that movie where it was one really long scene? The 1917 or whatever it was called.
Not 1917.
Yeah,
The war movie.
but it wasn't actually one long take. It just looked like it. So number one, you do that. Number two, you do like.
But see the problem
You,
there.
you just combine the Les Mis movie with that.
See the problem there is though 1917 takes place over the course of like 3 days. Hamilton
So?
takes place over the course of like 30 years.
Okay, but that would be cool to see like a like an instant transition that takes you to another decade. That would be cool to see on
I think
screen.
it could be done. I think a lot of like the Broadway purists would get really upset about it.
Okay, but they get upset about the dumbest crap
And again,
on
I don't
earth.
know how like every song leads just like straight into the other one. I don't know how you would do like any sort of cuts or transitions.
Okay, but there are musical movies that exist that are also that like that have constant songs one after the next. Like that's a thing.
it's going to happen. They're going to try it at some point because the
Yeah.
musical was such a big hit. But I just don't. I wouldn't personally want to try to figure out how to do that
No, I mean
in a
but
way that's even remotely respectful. To
we
the
don't
original film.
have to. We just have to watch.
Also,
them
but they
do it.
already did the stage. Like they already filmed the stage show.
Okay, that's not the same though. That's just the stage show.
But that is the show. Like you can watch it whenever you want.
Yeah,
What's
but
the reason to go see them essentially do a slightly different version of it in a movie?
because
theater?
with a stage show you're limited to the physical space you're in. With a movie you're not. You can create any environment. You can set it in the most realistic looking version of that.
yeah, I mean, we would have like
that
sets.
scenario.
We would essentially just be making the show with different actors and a set this time.
Yeah, that could be cool. It would be cool to see them like do the musical, but like in a much more, accurate or like realistic looking environment. I think that would be a cool experience. Because I mean, the set for Hamilton is effectively a balcony and two staircases.
Yeah, I mean, it's a simple set because it's a Broadway show.
Yeah, but I'm saying if you had the chance to make it look much more realistic, I mean, you could even make it so like every set looks realistic but has the same fundamental shape, so you could keep some of the choreography. That could be cool. There's a lot of different things you could do. I'm just saying I think it's possible.
All right. Anyway, we didn't finish this Hasbro story. So Hasbro, we were just talking about on the last episode that they sold E1, which was their like film and television partner. They just sold them to Lionsgate, and they're using a bunch of former E1 executives to run this new division.
Oh, that's
So they essentially sold
weird.
off their old entertainment division and
And
just
hired them
replaced it
back?
with the same division run by most of the same
That's
guys.
So why?
I don't know.
I don't understand.
So there was a statement from new president of Hasbro Entertainment, Olivier Dumont.
Oh my gosh, Cena. Cena keeps leaving and then going back in, and then now she doesn't want to leave, even though she wanted to leave 2 seconds ago. Come on, Cena, go on. He's a silly, goofy dog.
Okay, here's the statement. We are thrilled to embark on this new chapter, building upon our rich heritage of storytelling to continue delighting audiences across generations, Dumont said. Gabe, Zev, and I look forward to
Oh, heck yeah, they got Gabe!
these are the heads of the company.
I was so worried Gabe wouldn't be involved.
Look forward to working with the industry's best creative talent,
Y'all don't know Gabe, he's real cool.
studios, and distribution platforms to push the envelope with innovative storytelling that will let fans engage with their favorite brands like never before.
Notice the words they're using. allowing audiences to engage with their favorite brands.
Brands.
Not stories, not characters, not
Filmmakers.
artists, their favorite
brands.
brands.
That's what matters, is those brands, while also building exciting new worlds and the next wave of Hasbro franchises for a growing audience. That's a lie. They're
Wow.
never going to produce anything original.
You
They're
know
just
what
going to adapt all the Hasbro toy brands.
This sounds such cool. I cannot wait for
So,
this to be exist.
Hasbro is currently developing 24 projects based on IPs like Dungeons and Dragons,
That's fine.
Transformers,
I want more Dungeons and Dragons.
My
movie.
Little Pony, G.I. Joe,
You know what? If they
Nerf,
learn the
Play-Doh,
completely wrong lesson
Magic the Gathering.
okay, you don't need to
Peppa
list off
Pig.
every single IP they own. But if out of all this we get another D&D movie, I'm fine with that.
No, the
Go ahead and
funniest-
make all the terrible
The
ones.
funniest thing about this is like, this is a bold new era for Hasbro. We're gonna try brand new things, and I'm like, okay, well, you've done a Dungeons and Dragons movie, it bombed. You did a
But it was
Transformers.
good, though.
You did a Transformers franchise. The last one majorly underperformed. You did a My Little Pony franchise, and the sequel bombed.
They did wait, when did they do
They
theatrical
did
My
multiple
Little Pony
My Little
movies?
Pony movies, and
In the theaters,
Yeah,
though?
and it was diminishing returns.
When?
Like a couple years ago, I think the last one came out in like
I
2018.
do not remember that happening at all.
G.I. Joe. They've tried several times, and it's always failed.
Okay, they tried 1.2
No,
times.
they tried it, and they tried Snake Eyes, and now they're gonna try it a
Oh,
third
yeah.
time.
Okay, so they tried like
This is the third attempt.
2.3 times.
Not if you count the animated film from the 80s. That's 4.
That does not count.
I'm joking.
That was part of the TV show.
So I guess they're really betting on Play-Doh, Magic the Gathering, and Peppa Pig really, taking off.
You know, a Nerf movie could be cool.
No, we couldn't.
What if it's just like a sci-fi?
Say, what do you do
Hang
with
on.
the Nerf movie?
It's just like a sci-fi war movie.
About guns? What
Yeah.
do you do with Nerf?
So here's what you do. You
They're
make
toy guns.
hang on. You make basically a very generic sci-fi shooter movie, right? Like John Wick in space, okay?
That's, by the
Listen-
way, that's a pitch on a whiteboard somewhere.
Yeah,
It
I
says
just pitched
John
it.
Wick meets Star Wars. That's on a pitch.
Yeah, okay. So you do John Wick in space.
Mm-hmm.
You have a bunch of really cool looking guns. Maybe they're after like some special magic ammunition that gives
Sam.
them an advantage or something. Uh-huh.
This is just Doom.
Sure, okay. Make it Doom. But what I'm saying is you use the movie as an excuse to make a bunch of very cool sci-fi looking guns, then you sell 1 billion million Nerf guns.
Remember when they tried to do Battleship?
Yeah, but see, Battleship's not fun to play. Nerf is very fun to play. Nerf is still fun. Like, even as an adult, you can grab some Nerf guns, have fun shooting each other. Battleship's the most
But have you
boring
ever-
game ever.
But
You go,
yes, I know. I'm aware of how bad Battleship is.
you have a ship on B12.
You know, my favorite part of Battleship is that there's zero skill involved.
okay. No, I don't have a
The
ship on
only-
D13. Do you have a ship on E9? That's a hit. Okay. E8. No? Okay, your turn. It is the most boring game ever. And no movie can make that cool. Nerf is already cool. It's very easy to make a movie that makes Nerf look cool. You just have to have them shoot
It
cool
would not be
guns.
good, but yeah, you could. I guess you could do something with Nerf.
That's what I'm saying. Like, because again, Nerf is just guns.
If you did
Every
Ooh.
movie has guns.
You know what might be fun if you did like a future like a post-apocalyptic futuristic society where like weapons are like the prized possession and like the currency and like
What if you just adapt
and
just
you do a
zombies
commentary on the gun industry?
while selling toy guns to kids?
Yes.
I don't know if that's
Well,
necessarily
of course
the
it's
most...
going to be contradicting message.
I don't know if that's the most
No, in the Nerf movie,
best
the
idea
lesson
there.
would be that guns are really cool. You should go buy more guns.
Yes, that would be the message. You're selling toy guns.
No, it's just like what you already.
Like, okay, see, the Barbie
no.
movie didn't make a movie about how Barbie is bad.
No, the dumbest part of this is Barbie they hadn't tried before, and it worked, right? And so they're gonna try to like do more of it.
They're gonna try to
They
capture
have
the
already
bottle
tried
again.
Dungeons and Dragons several times. They've already tried Transformers
Okay.
several times.
Several
They tried
times.
My
They
Little
tried it
Pony
twice.
several times. G.I. Joe several times. Like these are all IPs that they've done before very recently and failed.
Okay, what if now, though...
What are you gonna do with Dungeons and Dragons in 2 years that's gonna make it a bigger success than it was this year?
Honestly, I think if you made a Dungeons and Dragons movie...
They did.
Hang on. And you don't call it Dungeons and Dragons. you call it something else, it would do a lot better.
I think it would do worse.
Because when people see Dungeons and Dragons, they think, oh, the nerd game. They don't think, oh, this is a cool fantasy adventure.
Not anymore. They don't, though. They think it's the Stranger Things thing.
They either think it's Stranger Things or they think it's Critical Role.
Stranger Things is cool.
But...
and hip.
No one knows what... They don't ever say what D&D is in Stranger Things. No, they just play it once a season. It doesn't matter what
D&D is. It just matters all that
no, but it does matter if you make a movie about it.
All that matters is the brand. If you make a D&D movie with no D&D in the title, there's no reason for it to exist. Because the only reason to make a D&D movie is that there is a movie with a brand on it. The brand is all that matters. So if you take away the brand name from the D&D movie, it could be a really good movie, but way less people are going to see it because it doesn't have the brand on it.
You use the movie to market the brand. The brand name, if you use the brand name to make the movie, you're limited to the scope of what that brand already is. You can only be as popular as D&D already is. And as popular as D&D is, relatively speaking, compared to other toys, it is not that popular. It's the time commitment required alone to play a game of D&D is astronomical compared to most other hobbies. Even like building robot kits takes less time than getting a group of friends together and playing D&D. That's a much higher commitment. You're limited to the scope of what that brand already is if you use the name brand as the soul of the project. Whereas if you made a movie like The Heroes of the Sword Coast or whatever, and you marketed it as just a classic, old-fashioned, funny adventure, good time,
it would lose $200 million.
Yeah, maybe, but it also might do okay.
No, it just would.
Based on what?
Because people don't like to go watch original. Look, by past 3 years of box office data, ignoring pretty much just Oppenheimer, audiences are extraordinarily... What about Everything Everywhere All at Once? Everyone liked that movie. But that only made $100 million total worldwide. If you made a $150 fantasy film, which is what the last D&D movie cost, and it only made $100 million. That's $100 million less than the last one did, and the last one was a horrible failure.
But I think it was limited by its branding.
But the D&D movie was really good. Great reviews, right?
Yeah.
Did the premise really well and had the brand name on it, and it didn't work. So even if they can recreate those first three again, even if it's still really good, if it doesn't have that brand name, it is going to do worse. Audiences in modern day care about the brand. If it doesn't have a brand, they are way, way, way less likely to check it out.
What if you made it horror?
Even Oppenheimer.
What if you made it horror, though?
No, and that's a whole other thing. But like
you could do that.
Even Oppenheimer, Oppenheimer had a brand. Christopher Nolan is a brand.
That's true.
He's a filmmaker, but in large part, he's a brand to people. Barbie is a brand. Mario is a brand. These are all giant brands, and that's what audiences are attracted to. That's why we've decided to make movies about the origins of products.
Okay, but what about Top Gun? That is kind of a brand, but also not really.
Top Gun is an anomaly. Now, you can maybe argue that Tom Cruise is a brand. I think that's maybe somewhat true.
But you know, Mission Impossible didn't do super well.
But Top Gun was a massive anomaly. Like Top Gun was just like this really insane.
But that's what I'm saying. You can't just write off every potential project.
Any movie can do well. Any movie can just explode for no reason. But the fact that they've already tried to do D&D this year, like less than a year ago.
That's what I'm saying. I think if you call the movie the D&D movie, you eliminate the potential for it to explode. Because it doesn't seem organic. It seems like that nerd thing. Whereas if you just let it be called some other story, you could even have D&D be in the subtitle or something like that. Like, I don't know, based on 5e or whatever.
Do you think it would have done better if they called it Honor Among Thieves, a Dungeons and Dragons game?
Absolutely. If they called it Honor Among Thieves, a D&D whatever, I think it would have done better. Because the focus would have been on the movie, not on the board game that the movie is kind of from.
Yeah, I think it's a trade-off. I think
honestly,
D&D, I don't think it has been proven yet because no one has been willing to take that risk of doing a brand movie and not putting the brand on it.
That's true.
But like, I would actually be interested to see someone try that, to like do
for example,
do a movie and not call it, to do a Lord of the Rings and not call it Lord of the Rings: The Quest for the Magic Gungus, right?
Yeah.
And just call it something else. Like, I would actually be interested to see that, because I think studios have just like drawn the line that, like, if it is based on IP, it must have IP in name.
But see, like take Marvel for example. They don't call it Marvel, the blood of whatever. The Marvel.
Technically, the Avengers is called Marvel's The Avengers.
Okay, but that's not what it says on the title. So no, it's not.
Not on the.
That's not what it says on the posters.
That is officially its title, though.
Yeah, but that's not what it says.
You know
so
why
that doesn't count.
You know why it's called that?
Because that's stupid.
It's because there was a movie from the 80s called The Avengers.
Okay,
They couldn't call it the same thing.
See, they didn't even want to do
They
that.
had to call them
But
Marvel's
like,
The
it's
Avengers.
always they always put the character first. It's always character then studio, or character then product.
But
So I think that's part
Marvel is different, though, because even if it's not called Marvel's whatever, you got Marvel in that poster. You got Marvel characters.
That's true. I'm not saying take the D&D
Got
branding
Marvel
off.
actors.
I'm saying keep it on there, but don't make that the focus. Because again, Marvel movies are not Marvel Iron Man.
I guess Star Wars tried that a little bit.
Star Wars
They
did that with Rogue One, a
Star
Star Wars story,
but
and
then
that
they
did
did
pretty
it
well.
with Solo, and that didn't do well.
Okay, but Solo was also bad.
True.
Rogue One was good, and it succeeded with that.
So all you have to do, Hasbro, listen up, is make a really, really good Dungeons and Dragons movie. Market it really, really well, without the brand being the primary focus, and try to get casual non-nerds to go see it, while
That
also
was
getting
the-
all of the Dungeons and Dragons fans to go see it as well.
That was the thing. And the Dungeons and Dragons fans, they know.
I think Dungeons
Okay, you
and
know
Dragons
what?
fans were the only people that saw Dungeons and Dragons.
Here is a perfect example. I don't know why I didn't think of this like 10 minutes ago. Baldur's Gate 3. Nowhere in the title of Baldur's Gate 3 does it say a D&D property. Baldur's Gate 3 is a video game adaptation of D&D, and it has been the best-selling game on Steam for as many weeks as it's been out now, actually gaining sales week over week, which basically doesn't happen for video games.
But it's also appealing primarily to gamers and nerds.
But my point is,
If you do the movie, though, you got to appeal to that general audience.
It's the story. It's Baldur's Gate 3, a D&D thing. It's not Dungeons and Dragons
Baldur's Gate.
Baldur's Gate 3.
I don't know though,
Because they put the... If people hear D&D, they think that dumb nerd thing. But if you if you trick them into liking it, they think it's awesome.
No, but the thing is, though, is at least when they hear D&D, they know what that is, or they've heard of it.
Like, look at Critical Role,
So they're
for example.
aware. They're aware of it.
Critical Role is the most popular D&D live play show that exists right now.
It's the only one I've ever heard of.
Well, there's Dimension 20, which is the second most popular. There's a couple others that are fairly popular, but Critical Role is by far the most popular. It's not called Dungeons and Dragons Critical Role. It's called Critical Role, and they play Dungeons and Dragons. Dungeons and Dragons has a stigma.
But Critical Role does not appeal to the general audience.
It absolutely
it is for
does.
D&D nerds.
It 100%
and it is
appeals
watched
to a general audience.
exclusively by D&D
That's
players.
not. I know people who have never once played D&D and have no intention of ever playing D&D who watch Critical Role.
Yeah, I've never met a single person who has ever watched Critical Role generally.
Okay, well, you don't go to, the demographic for Critical Role, I think, is a little bit older than, like, the people you hang out with. But, like, what I'm saying is, you got to trick people into liking D&D. Like, for example, Stranger Things. They didn't start off by, like, they didn't make D&D the focus. It's
also not a D&D thing, though.
Exactly, but they kind of tricked people into getting invested in the idea of D&D.
Yeah,
That wasn't the
I think
focus.
they should just give up.
All the popular D&D projects, they tricked people into liking
I think they either have to figure out a way to make it much cheaper, or they should stop. You know why? Because some brands just won't. Like a Dungeons and Dragons movie. Like,
it's very hard to make a.
the last one was not
cheap.
even that expensive. It was 150 million, which is not a whole lot. Like, I'm talking like 50 million. You gotta figure out a way to make it like butt cheap, like a mid-budget movie.
Now you could do that,
It just wouldn't.
but then
You wouldn't get the scope.
You'd be on like
or the
YouTube, like a high-budget YouTube production.
Well, you
at
could
that point.
do like a fantasy movie for that, but it would not be like the grand scale of a big Dungeons and Dragons
Yeah.
campaign. Like, I feel like Hollywood is desperate and thinking that if they try hard enough, every single brand can click. And I just don't think that's true. I think just some brands are going to be more successful
What
than
if
other
you
ones.
did a Netflix show for Dungeons and Dragons?
Well, they're doing a streaming show on Paramount Plus.
Okay, but that's doomed on arrival. 'Cause it's on
Trying
Paramount
that.
Plus. I'm saying if you do it on a platform that exists.
I think if you do a D&D show on Netflix, it's going to do about as well as the Witcher show that does on Netflix.
Well, the Witcher show did good until they made it bad.
It does. It's always
It started
performed
good.
like decently well. I think if they could figure out a way to do like a Game of Thrones
That's what I'm saying.
type thing.
Because out of all the fantasy properties that currently exist, Dungeons and Dragons is the most primed to take Game of Thrones' place.
Well, but Game of Thrones is still going.
Kinda.
House of the Dragon was big.
House of the Dragon was big.
It was real big.
House of the Dragon was huge, and it was really good.
And they're still doing it.
And they're
doing
still doing
80
it.
more Game of Thrones spinoffs.
But it's not Game of Thrones.
It pretty much did Game of Thrones numbers.
It did Game of Thrones numbers, but I'm talking about that type of storytelling. It's very different. The House of the Dragon is very different. It focuses on one family and their sort of interpersonal dynamics rather than the world and how the world is affected by these rival groups.
It'd be really cool if they did like an anthology thing with
because the main character of Game of Thrones is Westeros.
Yeah,
and how that's affected by these people who live here.
Yeah.
The main character of House of the Dragon is Rhaenyra. She's the main character.
The main character of Dungeons and Dragons is your homemade character named
See,
Garth the Poop Butt.
But see, that's the thing, is the main character of D&D is the story. That's the main focus of what's going on. It's the story that is being told by you and your friends. So like I think that's the most primed to take that
it's like
sort
I
of
look at this, I'm
storytelling.
like G.I. Joe. They're gonna try G.I. Joe.
Okay, but G.I. Joe is gonna be G.I. Joe.
Is G.I. Joe like G.I. Joe's never going to explode?
G.I. Joe has...
Because also when you try it so many times, the audience knows exactly what to expect from it.
The reason
no one, when they do G.I. Joe again, right? When they do the next G.I. Joe, which they're gonna do because they're gonna just keep trying. There's not gonna be anyone who is like completely unfamiliar with G.I. Joe and is like, oh, I wonder what to expect from this. This could be great. Like the more times you try it, and the more times you do it, and the more frequent the attempts become, the more and more aware people are of what it is.
Yeah.
And the more and more people are aware of what it is, and it continues to not do well, the more likely it is that it will continue to do worse.
G.I. Joe's potential...
Because there's no new audience to build up.
G.I. Joe's potential is very limited. There's not a lot of room for creativity in the G.I. Joe world. It's very much like Transformers, where there's the bad group and the good group. Grab your action figures and smash them together.
You know what? I'm looking at this list of IPs here, and the one that is most likely to be a big hit, Peppa Pig.
Yeah, but that's because the primary demographic is
like,
5.
No, but like, it's got the memes.
Does it?
Yeah, it's got the social. It's got
Name one Peppa Pig meme.
People do like YouTube poops at Peppa Pig all the time.
Yeah, they did in like 2013.
I'm just saying, like, it's
Peppa Pig memes have not been around in a long time.
People know Peppa Pig. They know more people know Peppa Pig than know Magic the Gathering. They know My Little Pony.
They use it for like reaction images.
G.I. Joe. Then I don't know. I honestly think of all of these, if they were to do Peppa Pig the movie, it's probably the most likely.
I think
to catch
Peppa
fire.
Pig the movie will do exactly as well as the Paw Patrol movie does. However well that movie does, Peppa Pig will do the exact
well enough
same.
to do another one.
Oh, is the current one a sequel? I thought that was
that's
the
the
only
next.
one.
That's the second one.
How well did the first one do?
I don't know. All I know is that it came out in 2021.
Came out the same year as it came out around the same time as Spider.
I know
It's Spider-Man.
It
No
was
Way Home.
dirt cheap. It cost $26 million, made 144.
Yeah, so Peppa Pig will do exactly that.
If they can do a Peppa Pig for $30 million and crank it out, and it can do 200, they're in the green, baby.
Peppa Pig will do that movie's returns with whatever the Teen Titans Go movie's budget was.
What? Hold up. Paw Patrol's been on for 10 years?
Yeah.
What?
Paw Patrol kind of started right around the time where we stopped watching like kids TV.
That's crazy. How much is the new one? I guess it didn't say. That's crazy.
Because like that was right around the time where we shifted from like Disney Channel to like Ben 10. Like that was around the time that happened.
Let's move on, Sam. Okay, so this is a long and complicated story. I didn't do a lot of notes on it. I just brought up the Hollywood Reporter article on it, which I'll link in the description of the video if you want to know like the actual information and our weird ramblings of us reading it out loud. So TSG Entertainment, which is a movie finance group. They are not a distributor nor a studio.
They're an investor.
So if you don't, you've definitely seen their logo in front of movies. So if you remember a movie where it had that logo where like an ancient Greek statue shoots an arrow through a bunch of axes.
Through those axes, yeah.
That's TSG. They're a movie financer. Essentially, what they do is they go to studios and
they're an investment group.
Hey, you're making these movies, right? We're willing to put up this portion of the budget
for this portion of the returns.
Percentage of the returns.
Yeah.
They're a financer. That's all they do. So they have just recently filed a lawsuit against the Walt Disney Corporation over a deal they had made many years ago with 20th Century Fox. So they had made a deal with Fox over certain movies that they had produced with them.
Mm-hmm.
And Disney then bought Fox, and according to them, was not properly honoring those deals. So Disney is being accused of hindering a deal between 20th Century Studios and TSG Entertainment Finance in an effort to boost Disney Plus and Hulu subscriptions, stock prices, and executive compensation. In a new lawsuit, TSG Entertainment Finance says an independent audit of 3 films, including The Shape of Water, which won Best Picture, revealed it's owed more than $40 million that they have not been paid. After all is said and done, the company suspects the total will be in the hundreds of millions, and the cash shortfall has caused it to take a worse position in its investment in Avatar: The Way of Water. So they say Disney was supposed to pay us, what they're saying is over $100 million in various revenue streams from movies they had produced with Fox.
From what? Like, what is this money coming from?
What do you mean?
Like the money that Disney is making off this movies, where is it from streaming?
Presumably. I don't know. I'm about to get into it. They're saying like multiple sources of revenue. So presumably movie tickets, home video sales, PVOD sales, streaming revenue and rights.
Because if it's streaming, that would be very ironic.
Well, they're also saying like PVOD, so people paying $25 to buy it on Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
Like they're not getting the proper share of that either. And they're saying it's caused to take a worse position in investment in Avatar: The Way of Water. So they're essentially saying we made all these deals with Fox, expecting to get this much in returns. Disney did some sneaky and possibly illegal financially maneuvering to not pay us that money, and because of that we are worse off as a company, and it's made us not be able to take in as much of a profit share in Avatar as we wanted to. Avatar, of course, being giant and would have been a big money maker.
You're telling me that Disney isn't giving them the residuals from their streaming services?
Somewhat. Also, the home videos, the PVOD sales.
Same thing.
TSG on Tuesday sued 20th Century Studios for breach of contract and Disney for inducing the breach. The financier says it invested more than $3.3 billion into well over 100 films, which included the likes of Bohemian Rhapsody, Deadpool, Planet of the Apes, The Martian, The Banshees of Inisherin. TSG's attorney John Berlinski opened up with discussing what he called Hollywood accounting and arguing that it's now a commonplace employed by studios to cheat profits out of participants. Disney and the executives running it had and continue to have Disney and the executives running it had and continue to have every incentive to do anything and everything they can, including manipulating distribution of the qualifying pictures and preventing TSG from liquidating its interests in certain tranches of qualifying pictures to attempt to boost Disney's share price at the expense of TSG and other profit participants, said Berlinski. Berlinski also
liquidating their ass. What would that even mean in this context?
Distribution of the qualifying pictures and preventing the TSG from liquidating its interest in certain tranches of qualifying pictures.
Yeah, what does that even mean?
I think it's his fancy words for it. They're preventing them from getting the cash.
Well, no, okay. When you liquidate an asset, that means you sell it off.
No,
for
they're
cash.
liquidating interests.
It's the same thing.
Liquid is also just money, though.
That's what I'm saying. It's when you turn an asset into liquid cash.
I think they're saying preventing TSG from collecting like the pure cash they want from the projects.
This all seems very dumb and weird.
Berlinski led the lawsuit. If you remember a couple of years ago when Scarlett Johansson sued Disney over Black Widow, he was the same lawyer who did that lawsuit. That was, of course, settled out of court.
And Disney is going to assassinate this guy.
So their initial revenue participation agreement dates back to December 31st, 2012. That was the original deal with Fox. Over the years, the money TSG had received from its investments decreased dramatically, and the company launched an independent audit to investigate the financial records. Based on what auditors found in their sample, they estimate that TSG's defined gross receipts were reduced by at least $54.5 million from electronic sell-through distribution, and it was improperly charged $35 million in costs related to Movies Anywhere. Movies Anywhere is a particular movie distribution streaming app.
Yeah.
So their main thing they're mad over is your movie rentals, your movie sales, your digital copies. They're saying they lost an estimated 54.5 million through that. And this it goes on, it goes into more detail. Part of what's happening is that Disney is selling their own movies streaming rights to themselves and therefore getting a very reduced price on it, and that way they
don't
can
have
give
to
a
pay
smaller cut to the profit
investors.
participants.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, but like, how do you? Is that illegal? How do you even prevent that?
I don't know.
Like, do they have a leg to stand on?
I don't know. There's a
here?
lot
I don't
of
really understand
there's a
what's
lot
going
of
on.
text. I don't think Disney's technically doing anything illegal.
You know what I don't care about? Billionaires getting mad at each other. You know how you know who this doesn't affect at all? Me.
Who owns TSG? I'm guessing it's just a private equity.
It's a private equity firm. It's a capital group. It's like they're not real.
Industry founded parent. Yeah, it's like 3 different private investment groups.
Wait, how much you want to bet either Vanguard Group or Blackstone is involved?
It's the Selling, Bonafilm, and Magnestor Capital.
Magnestor Capital. Sounds very real.
Bunch of hedge funds.
What's the name? TSG?
Yes. One is Chinese Caliphate.
That's cool. All right, let's see. Let's do it. We're doing another one of those times where we deep dive into a company for no reason. All right, let's see here. Headquarters is in New York. Key people Chip Sealing, who does not have a Wikipedia page. Parent company, the Sealing Group, which I assume is owned by Chip Sealing, as well as the Bona Film Group and Magnetar Capital. So what is the Sealing Group? They don't have a Wikipedia page. That is very suspicious.
So part of what they're saying here is that they had struck a deal with HBO, Fox had, for distribution of its films. Then that deal was altered to include Disney Plus and Hulu when Disney bought the company, which decreased the amount of money HBO was paying and therefore decreasing the amount of money TSG was
I went to the Sealing Group website. Do you want to know what's on this website?
Mm-hmm.
There are 2 sentences of content.
Okay.
There are no clickable links.
There
is
what
no
website?
description.
TSG's?
Yeah, TSG or the Sealing Group. They own TSG.
Okay.
That's what the Sealing Group.
Does it say will futurize?
That's
the
what
hope
TSG stands for.
Yeah. Does it say will futurize the hope to be?
It says the Sealing Group is a private media and entertainment principal investment and advisory firm founded in 2012 by a group of successful and experienced entrepreneurs, executives, and investors. That is it. There's a disclaimer.
Mm-hmm.
There's that's it. Oh wait, there's an enter button. Oh, you have to log in. That's weird. I wonder if this isn't like their private like page for something.
No, I think they're just a private equity group. And
why do you have to log in? That's weird.
Well, probably because that's how their people in the group access the information.
Yeah, probably because they don't want us be seeing whatever's on the website.
They don't want that public. They're a private group.
Yeah, they got to keep all their weird, creepy stuff secret.
No, I think they just don't want you to know their financial information.
No, I'm not talking about the individuals. I'm talking about the company itself.
Yeah, you don't want but it's not a public company, so they have no reason to report on any of their assets.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's super sus.
It's not sus. A lot of companies aren't publicly owned.
I'm not saying it's not publicly owned. I'm saying it's sus that like they don't say what they do at all. It just says what they are.
They're an equity group. They just invest in crap. That's all they do.
Yeah, but it doesn't say what their investments are.
They don't have to.
They don't have to.
It's shady, but like what?
It's always
what investment group isn't shady? That's all they do.
That's what I'm saying. It's shady, but they're all. I'm not saying it's any more or
Every
less shady than
investment
other
group
ones.
is a big barrel of money that a bunch of millionaire rich kids put all their cash into, and they just fund crap.
Even when we've researched other companies, there's always like a page that has like their CEO or like it has something about them. This one has nothing. That's weird. All right. Magnetar Capital is a hedge fund. I think that's all we need to know about that. What's the Bona Film Group? What are they doing? What's up with y'all? Oh, this is the Chinese Caliphate, also known as Polybona Films. Is a Chinese production company and distributor of films, mainland China and Hong Kong. It is run as a subsidiary of the China Poly Group. Okay, what is this? China Poly Group Corporation. See, this is why this is so fun, because there's just so many of these creepy companies. With approval of the State Council, China Poly Group was set up on the basis of Poly Technologies Incorporated, which was established in 1992 as an arms manufacturing wing of the People's Liberation Army. What? Okay, so TSG is owned at least in part by the same company that makes all of the guns for China's military.
All the guns.
No, that's when they were founded. They still do. It's a state-owned Chinese business group.
Oh, it's state-owned. So it's
obvious.
the government.
Well, they're all state. They have to be state-owned.
Yes. Communism, baby.
It is both primarily engaged in representing the Chinese defense manufacturing industry in international sales and the world's third largest art auction house. That's not super weird or creepy at all. Behind Sotheby's and Christie's, which are the other two auction houses. Oh man. Revenue. 305 billion. Oh wait, that's their currency though, so I have no idea what that translates to. 350 billion renminbi. I don't know what that is. Okay, so we have the native name in Chinese, and then the Romanized name, which I can't read also. The trade name is the Poly Group. All right, well, this has been a very fun little dive here into what's going on with that.
Okay, well, I guess we'll update you on the lawsuit if anything happens. What is most likely to happen is they will settle out of court for an unspecified amount of money.
Wealthy business conglomerate wing of the Chinese military and the People's Liberation
You're
Army.
diving a little too deep, Sam.
Yeah, but it's funny. It's fun. Well,
All
it's
right.
not really funny.
Let's
but it is
talk
funny.
about this movie so that I can go to bed.
All right. Yeah.
That's all the news we have for this week. Sam, we saw a film.
Oh, we did. We did see a movie.
saw a
See, I already
film.
forgot again.
You forgot.
We talked about it like an hour ago.
That's true. We saw The Last Voyage of the Demeter.
Sure did.
It's the new Dracula on a boat film.
Sure did see that Dracula on a boat
It
movie.
is directed by Andre Overdahl.
Remember when Dracula puts himself in a box and ships
I remember
himself?
when he was in that boat. Andre Overdahl most recently directed Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, if you remember that from a few years ago. Screenplay by Bragi Schutt Jr. and Zach Olkowicz. It is based off a single chapter from Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Hang on, not even like a chapter, but like a part of a chapter.
Well, it's one chapter of the book. Well, the book Dracula is written in as letters,
Yeah,
so it's based on one of the letters.
one of the letters
Yes.
of the book.
All right, Sam, what did you think of Dracula on a boat?
I thought the first 30 minutes of this movie were just so boring. Nothing happens for the first they start to load these crates on the boat, and like they drop one and like dirt spills out, and
Okay,
that's
well, let's not get to spoilers.
I'm not getting
I know
super
this-
specific. I'm just saying, like, this established the tone for me when I first started. Like, when it started off, I was kind of getting into it. I was like, all right, I kind of like this, like, post-medieval little world
You
we've
were
got
enjoying
going
the
on.
vibe.
I was enjoying the vibe. Then they get to this part where they're loading crates on the boat, and they've got these dragon emblems on them, and that spooks one of the crewmates. And I was like, okay, I guess maybe this will come up again later. This does not come up again later.
Well, there's a reason he's spooked.
There's a reason he's spooked, but it doesn't make any sense.
Okay, it's not hard to figure out. Dracula ships himself in a big crate on the boat. That's how he gets on the boat.
Yeah, that's how he gets on the boat.
But like, when he's trying to hide to get on the boat, so if he's trying to hide to get on the boat,
Why did he mark all his crates?
Stamp all of his big crates with his logo?
Not only a logo, but a logo that some of the townsfolk already recognize as evil.
Yeah.
Third thing, they later on reveal that like all the people in the town Dracula was in before like were killed by Dracula. I'm not gonna get super specific, but like that's revealed at some point. So how did that guy know that emblem was evil? Wouldn't he have been also killed? Wouldn't everyone that
Maybe
knows
he's
that
just
that's bad
heard
been
tale
killed?
of the
From who?
deed.
The guys who were killed?
Maybe someone got
The
out.
guys who all died except
Well,
one?
maybe someone left the town before Dracula killed them all. It told everyone that there's a big Dracula living in that castle up there.
And then no one, it's just, anyway. And then, so anyway, they drop one of the
Well,
crates.
no one would have believed him because he would have been like, hey, there's a Dracula over there. And they would have been like, what is
There's
a
a
Dracula?
whole dead town of evidence. An entire dead town worth of bodies.
Yeah, but if you found a dead town, would your first assumption be there's probably a big Batman drinking all their blood at night?
If I found a town of corpses who were covered in human bite marks and were drained of blood, I would be like, guys, I think something's draining these guys' blood here. Anyway, I haven't even gotten to the
And they would
thing.
have been like, no.
I could just be like, look at this corpse, look at this corpse, look another corpse, look at the hundreds of corpses.
And they would have been like, this is probably just God is mad at these people.
And ate them? That's just as scary as Dracula.
We don't know nothing about science in these parts.
If God is sucking blood out of people, that's just as scary as Dracula existed.
What are we going to do about it?
I don't know. They didn't. Anyway, they drop one of these crates with the spooky symbol on it, and dirt spills out. And they treat it as like, ooh, dirt.
Spooky dirt.
And I was like, okay, is the dirt
Yeah,
magic?
we'll get to it later.
And the theme of dirt was a reoccurring theme. There's so much scary dirt in the movie.
Of spooky dirt.
And I was so baffled by this weird choice. There's one point where one of the characters opens one of the crates, which is empty, and he immediately sees that it's empty. But upon opening it, he goes, it's just dirt. And I was like, why were you scared of the dirt? Anyway.
You said you referenced the opening. So I said the opening felt tacked on in like a studio note. That's because the movie starts with text that's like
explaining what's happening.
Blah 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 date. The Demeter left this port and no one survived.
We did not need to see that.
This is the story of the people on the Demeter.
Yes, we see from the story you are telling.
And then the movie starts, and they're like, the last voyage of the Demeter. And then they
do it
to
twice.
The people on the boat, and that's because I feel like they had the movie open with just the scene, and then the studio was like, well, people need to have explained to them exactly what's going on, so can you put in another intro that explains it to them
the reason why it starts off with the boat already wrecked and then like discovering the wreckage is to set the tone that like, oh, this is scary,
it's gonna go bad,
this went really bad. But then right before that they had the text explaining exactly what went bad. If you didn't have the text, you would see what went bad. You'd be like, ooh, that's spooky, what went bad? And then you would watch the movie and you would learn what went bad. But when you have text spoiling the whole movie for you right before the movie starts, then you see what went bad. The movie's over. The movie ended. You saw the whole thing just now. You saw them tell you exactly what happened, and you saw the result. But when you have it, if they had taken that out and just had the result, then shown you what happened, that would have been so much stronger just on that premise alone.
Just to be clear, Sam did not like this movie.
No, I thought it was very dumb.
I thought it was fine. I liked it a little bit.
There were just a lot of scenes that I thought were just exceptionally goofy.
I think the reason I kind of liked it is I just like spooky things in general, and I like vampires, and I like vampire stuff.
He's not even like really he's a vampire, but he's like a weird. He's like the Witcher version of a vampire.
There's two versions of your vampires. You got your Bela Lugosi Universal Monsters vampire, which is just a guy with a cape and slicked back hair who just goes, ugh, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you got your like creepy crawly vampires who are like just straight up monsters.
No, but even the creepy crawly ones usually transform into regular people. Like, this is the only time I've ever seen a vampire that doesn't transform at all. It's just a spooky goblin man. They reference
that he disguises himself as a man.
But then later on you see the disguise, and it's just him in a hat.
Well, so you're thinking like, okay, well maybe one of the crew guys is the
Dracula.
And
that would have been so cool.
Or you're thinking like, oh, like he literally like disguises himself as a person.
Yeah, like he literally transforms into a human.
No, he puts on a big coat.
No, he puts on a cape and a hat.
And a cane.
And still looks like a goblin man.
And he walks around in public.
Presumably with goblin hands.
I mean, I guess he has to go out at night so people aren't getting a good look at him. But
he's in a well-lit tavern.
It's obviously a Dracula. It's not a normal
guy.
Anyone
could see him and be like, there's a goblin over there.
I guess they wouldn't know what a Dracula is, but they'd still be like, why is that pale man with sharp teeth and vampire wings standing over there?
That's what I'm saying. You'd still recognize the goblin man.
I thought his design was okay.
I didn't have any problem with the design.
I liked the wings. I liked how they did the wings.
Yeah, that was cool. I thought the design was okay. I didn't have any problem with the design. My problem was the portrayal.
Yeah,
of
I didn't like
itself.
his behavior. I thought he was like
Okay, he's also like a savage creature.
I heard that the filmmakers were like trying to make him like an addict. So that's why he's like scrawny and like crawling around on the ground like a creep.
Maybe.
But I felt that didn't make him like scary. It made him more like goofy.
He was too goofy. Like his design was very scary, but his behavior was like very silly.
He's wimpy and goofy, and like he has like later in the film he starts like saying lines of dialogue.
He starts talking.
He has like one-liners.
Yeah, he starts doing quips. He's like, "Aha, gotcha!"
He's
and then
like,
he'll punch you and
buddy.
knock you off a thing.
I'm like, stop.
Yeah, they couldn't pick if he was a monster or a man.
Yeah.
And they kept saying he was a man and having him say things that made him seem like a man. But then he was behaving like a goofy goblin.
Monster man.
Like, okay, the scene where the dude's looking around with the telescope and he sees Dracula right in front of his face, puts the telescope down and he's gone. I'm like, is Dracula just like goofing with this guy? Why is Dracula doing casual pranks?
He's bored.
And the part where he's like crawling on the ground, being a little goober.
Yeah, like hiding under the staircase.
Not even hiding. He's just like goobing around.
I'm like, why is he acting like a gremlin?
Yeah. And then the guy walks over. The guy, by the way, is not sussed out by this goblin creature at all. Just walks up and is like, there's a weird goblin over here. And then gets killed. I was like, what is going on?
Yeah, I put too many scenes of people walking into dark corners of a boat just to be attacked by Dracula, who jumps on them, eats their neck, and then the scene ends.
The boat is also not big enough for me to believe that this is happening.
The boat is like a decent size, but you can tell they only have like 4 boat sets, and 3 of them are interiors.
Okay.
There's only one exterior boat set, and it's like half of the boat. So whenever they go outside, it's always just this one half of the boat.
And they flip it to make it look like the boat's bigger, which confused me a couple of times. But like, also, the boat itself as a location does not have enough hiding spots for me to believe what's going on. Like there's the below deck where all the crates are,
where they're keeping all the cargo.
There's the behind that where there's the captain's quarters.
The crew
next to that, there's the crew's quarters. Then there's the kitchen on the second floor, and then there's the deck.
Yeah.
Where is Dracula hiding?
In the big crates.
But they opened the crates and he's not in there.
They opened the crate he sleeps in during the day and he's not
not there.
So where is he sleeping?
So where was he?
Unless he was sleeping in there and they just didn't bother to do anything.
Dig deep enough? They found all. Why did he have 3 canes?
I wrote down a bunch of questions. I said, let me see if I can
Why did he bring
it.
3 canes with him? Is he constantly running? Is his canes breaking all the time?
I put, why is he shipping all those canes? This is kind of spoilers. But this book is 150 years old.
It's not kind of spoilers. It's kind of stupid.
You know what? Let's just do spoilers so I can get into everything.
Spoilers for this 200-year-old book.
Would you recommend this movie?
No, this movie. There's so many better Dracula movies.
I don't think I would either. Yeah, I would say no.
If you want to watch a cool, fun...
And I didn't really dislike it. I don't think it's worth your money.
watch Castlevania on Netflix. Do that.
Do Netflix, and it's not a movie, but go to Netflix and watch the TV. Oh, actually, never mind.
Yeah,
watch Salem's Lot.
I don't know what that is, but I like Castlevania. It's very good as Dracula.
I was going to recommend another one, but it's a spoiler if I tell you it's about vampires, so I won't.
Okay, well, that doesn't count.
So I have multiple questions. I have, why was he shipping all those containers of dirt?
He ships 52 containers of dirt.
Dracula does, by the way.
One of which contains a thrall that he's like been feeding on.
Yes.
And the other one, the fanciest one containing him. Yep. So number 1, if you're shipping 50 crates to hide the one you're in, why did you make yours super fancy?
Because he wanted to be comfy.
That's dumb. 2, if you aren't doing it to hide yourself, why 52 crates of dirt?
You just ship one.
Just ship 2. One for the person you're eating, one for you.
Well, why'd you fill it with dirt?
You don't even need the one you're eating. You ate everyone else. That was unnecessary.
Why did you fill it with dirt? Why did you fill the rest of them with dirt?
Yeah, also, why were they filled with dirt?
Like, if you just, sleeping in dirt, that's fine. But why did you fill
Why'd you fill hers with dirt? She probably doesn't like being in dirt.
Especially, they say at the start that they think they're shipping something else.
But it's very clearly dirt.
Well, it's all dirt, and I'm like, just ship
No, they don't say they're shipping something else. It says on their ledger, like the guy reads it, and he's like, 52 containers of dirt. That's so weird. Like later on, because the captain, I guess, didn't tell them what they were shipping for some reason.
I don't know why you want to ship dirt at all. I don't know why you take on an order of dirt with spooky logos on it.
Why did they take the doctor guy again? Because one of their crewmates left.
The crew guy got spooked by the dragon.
The doctor guy doesn't help. He doesn't move anything heavy. He's
they
just
needed
there.
help just generally.
He doesn't do anything on the boat.
He's just a guy. He can do something.
He's just around.
He's more useful than that little kid they had.
That's true. That kid was totally worthless.
Totally worthless.
Well, he was feeding the animals.
I get, but anyone could have done that. They were just having him do that because.
Well, it was the captain's kid. So, like, if the kid has to be there, that he can take.
They needed a guy, and the main character was there.
They needed to have a kid get killed, so you know Dracula's a bad dude.
No, yeah. Why was he shipping all that? See, that felt like a detail that was in the book. That he had a bunch of containers of dirt, just like a random thing the author wrote in 1897.
Yeah,
and they were just like, "Well, what does it say in the book? Guys, got containers of dirt. Okay, just fill them with dirt."
I think in an earlier version of this script, there was a reason. Like maybe he wanted to take up the whole cargo hold to himself in order for some reason, for some part of his plan. I don't know. And it was like a remnant of a previous draft or something. I don't know. It was just a very weird choice. Also, most of the deaths in this movie are cartoonishly dumb.
Most of them are people just getting tackled by Dracula and having their neck bitten off.
Yeah, but like again, the boat is not very big. There's no reason why they wouldn't be able to hear a dude screaming at all. The boat's not that big.
Yeah. Again, there's a lot of scenes of people walking into dark corners of the deck and then just getting eaten. And then people running up and finding his corpse.
The most frustrating one to me, I think, was the child. And because the whole way it plays out was just spatially very dumb. Because at one point, Dracula's mind controlling one of the crewmates, right? And he gets a hold of the kid and starts dragging him towards the front of the ship. The kid manages to escape and runs back towards a room and locks himself in the room. Dracula is already in that room and then eats the kid. If Dracula was over there, why was the zombie guy dragging him to the other direction?
This is a better spot to eat.
And he was just like gonna tell Dracula, "Hey, I brought him on this side, by the way. You don't need to be in there." Oh, but the kid is in there now, so good choice, I guess.
I don't think they're very good at communication.
I don't think the movie was very good.
Yeah, I also put, why did they find his crate and not get rid of it as soon as they found it? Why would you find the crate that he's been supposedly sleeping in or hiding in and not dump it immediately off the boat?
And then, okay, there was one more thing. The plan that they come up with at the end to stop Dracula.
Why was their plan not to set the boat on fire at the end? Yeah. That would have gotten rid of Dracula and been a cool visual set piece.
So they do decide that they're going to set the boat on fire to destroy it. But then it starts, but then it
starts raining.
They wait until night, and then it starts raining during the night.
The explanation for why they waited till night was that they weren't close enough to the shore to jump ship at that point.
But there was another character earlier on in the movie who had jumped ship and presumably would have escaped if Dracula did not also.
But also, if you got 3 people in the rowboat, right? You could have taken turns and gotten there.
You could have probably. They weren't that far at that point. The shore was within view before the sunset.
It's true.
Like, because they saw the lighthouse and then the sunset.
Yeah.
Like, they were maybe at the most
they
like 2 miles.
They waited till night just so Dracula could come out.
Yeah, they wait till night. Dracula comes out. They fight him. They all lose. Die. Mm-hmm. Dracula wins. One guy escapes. If they had just abandoned ship during the day, set the boat on fire during the day, Dracula would have either, 1, burned up in the boat, or 2, been forced out of the boat to burn up in the sun. There was no reason to wait until night, and it was just so he could kill them.
Yeah. I know you had a particular problem with the fog that rolled over.
Oh, I just thought it looked goofy. I just thought it looked stupid.
Yeah, I generally...
Because there's no fog. So there was fog earlier in the movie that they just, like, stumble across, which, like, I was fine with that. Because it was, like, naturally there. But, and as Dracula's feeding, he's getting more and more powerful and presumably, like, more powers, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But then he starts to get some really goofy powers, like the ability to summon fog.
Again, I don't think he summoned the fog.
Because there's towards the end of the movie, the night's falling, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then fog just starts like crawling up the boat, over the boat, up to like the thing to like make it so everyone can't see. And it's like the sailors were not expecting this. They're like, this fog came out of nowhere. I can't see a thing. And because there wasn't any visible fog before this happened. It was just Dracula summoned fog, and you see it. If it had just appeared like it did earlier in the movie, where they just sailed into some fog, I think it would have been funny, or it would have been fine. But I thought it was funny that at the end, it at least appears that Dracula has now gained the ability to summon fog storms. for some reason.
Yeah, I mean, while we're on the ending, I felt like because like the whole movie is super meandering. It's 2 hours.
They spend so much time.
It's
doing
2
nothing.
hours long. It should be 90 minutes.
Yeah,
They take way too long for them to discover that there's a Dracula on the boat.
and honestly,
I'd say I don't know exactly how much time it was, but I'd say it takes them a solid half hour to 40 minutes.
it took 40 minutes before
to them
Dracula
to
killed
figure
a
out
single
that
guy.
there's a Dracula on the
Yeah.
boat with them. And when the whole movie takes place in one location, a very small location, where the whole idea of the movie is that there's a group of characters confined here that can't leave and are stuck with this thing. And the fact that the movie just like is spread out over such a long period of time just completely decreases any sort of tension or feeling of risk. Like the movie takes place over the course of like several weeks.
But yeah,
And like the whole and like they spend several weeks knowing there's a Dracula on the boat and
just kinda
actively
not doing anything
sitting
about it.
around waiting to die.
yeah.
Like that it's
It isn't until the night before they get there that they decide to like try
do
to fight
something
him.
or like to try to leave.
Yeah,
They don't try to leave during the day. Like they know it he doesn't come out during the day and at no point are they like, "Okay, let's try to find a port. Let's try to dump the boat somewhere."
Yeah, no, because they say at a certain point that they could stop somewhere else, but it would like add significant time to their journey, and their cargo wouldn't arrive on time.
Let's not try to dump all the cargo in the ocean to get him out of the boat. They never do any of that. They're just like, "Well,
Guess we'll
it's
die.
noon. We got at least 8 hours."
It's and
They have zero sense of
and
self-preservation
you can get away.
with horror movie characters being dumb.
Well, no, not that. You can get away with a long runtime in a story like this if the characters are compelling enough to be interesting on their own.
And most of them
the
aren't.
problem is these characters are the most cookie cutter
I liked
character. There's
two of them.
that are
Yeah,
interesting.
I liked.
There's the first mate.
There's the. Oh yeah, there's 3.
There's the first mate who's cool because he actually has a reason for not wanting to leave because at the beginning of
He's
the
the
movie,
only character who has any sort of like a background or like.
yeah, at the beginning of the movie, it's established
Setup.
that the captain is going to pass the ship on to him,
him.
and this is his last mission.
Yeah.
So he's going to inherit the ship, and so he wants to stay because
wants
he's
to
like,
keep going, 'cause
I
he wants to
want the
inherit
ship,
the ship.
I want to keep sailing. You know, this is
He's
in my
played-
blood.
He's played by our boy David Dismalchin.
Yeah, who's one of
doing
the
a little bit of an out of character role.
Yeah,
Normally
and he
plays
did a
like
really
a
good
weird
job.
wimp. He's playing like a gruff guy. I
Yeah,
liked him.
and he did good. There's
Love him when he's in
the
things.
doctor character who is
the main character.
He's the main character. He's kind of like a fish out of. Okay,
They try to give him a backstory,
they give him
but they don't
two
really
different backstories.
They don't really work it into anything. I like the lead guy who plays him.
Yeah,
I think
the-
he's got
the
a lot
guy
of
who played him was good.
charisma. But
They try to do a fish out of water thing with him, but then they undermine it later on. They start off with him being like, "Oh, he's like not a sailor. He's kind of been brought on because they needed an extra guy." And his background is he's a doctor, so you know that lends him some.
he
extra
calls himself a
usefulness.
ship doctor, which did he mean he's a doctor for ships or he's a doctor who's good at
Unclear.
being a doctor on a ship?
And then later on, he goes, "Oh, my dad was a sailor, one of the best sailors, actually. I know everything about boats." Even though earlier in the movie, the guy was like, "Have you ever been on a ship before?" And he's like, "No, but I studied them while I was at Cambridge." And then he's like, "Oh, well, that won't get you anywhere. You suck. We're taking this crackhead instead." And so they end up like overlooking him at first, but then later on, he was on ships. So why did he say he was not on ships before? That's just like a weird character inconsistency that just doesn't really lend anything to the movie.
Yeah, again, his character's not very well set up, but I liked him. I liked the girl too. I thought she was
Yeah,
interesting.
she was cool.
She's often used as just an exposition machine.
She-
But I thought she did some interesting stuff with her.
She was
performance. She had some
conceptually interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's like
Again, they don't do a whole lot with her, but she's got.
she's
it's
a
a neat
vampire
idea.
thrall, but they had like given her a blood transfusion, which
So
I guess
she's delayed.
they had. So like she wasn't turning evil.
No.
She wasn't turning into a vampire.
And she's like the only one who like knows kind of what he is. And I like how they're asking her like, okay, how do we kill him? And she's like,
She's like, if I
I
could have
don't
done that,
know.
I would have done that already, obviously.
I literally, he almost killed me, dude.
He
Give me
killed
a break.
literally my entire country,
Yeah.
which is why he's shipping himself to
Yeah,
this one. Even though there are people in that country that shipped him here, so obviously that's not true.
I put in my notes, it's too long for a movie that takes place entirely in one location. Because if you do that, you need to have really, really interesting characters and really, really interesting dynamics. And I didn't feel that was here. I felt like there was like 2 characters that were like, well, there's a Dracula out there. There was a bunch of characters who were like, there's no Dracula out there. And then there's one guy who doesn't care. And that's the dynamic for like
Yeah.
the whole runtime.
I think if the girl was the main character and part of the movie was flashing back to the village that was taken over by Dracula.
That could have been neat.
I think that could have filled in a lot of that time that was spent with the characters just being like, well, there's a Dracula on board. What should we do, Captain? I don't know.
Nothing.
I guess we'll die.
Let's eat
All
some
right,
cabbage.
well, I guess we'll die. You know, I don't think Dracula's real.
Like, they'll occasionally try to do something interesting. Like, the main character brings up, like, having experienced racism, right? And you're like, okay, maybe they'll do something with, like...
And then it does not affect it at all.
Dracula is, like, a different creature and, like, is othered and he's a monster. And, like, how does that compare to, like, people treating him as a monster? Stuff like that,
But that
right?
does not happen.
There's a
he
guy,
just randomly says it and it never comes up.
There's a guy who's like, oh, this is a curse from God. This is his vengeance, right? You think they might do something, like, with a commentary on religion.
And then they don't, and he dies.
He doesn't. He just dies. Like, they just... It's 2 hours. They keep... Like,
they keep teasing us with interesting ideas.
They keep nodding at the idea of doing something interesting and never,
and then
like,
doing
biting.
nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they hint, maybe it's a religious thing. It's not. Maybe it's a race allegory. It's not. Maybe it's Among Us, and he's shape-shifting into a human.
It's not.
He isn't, even though we said he was. But he's
hanging
just
out on the boat.
Maybe the girl is evil. She's not. Like, any interesting thing that they could have possibly done, they do the least interesting thing.
So at the end of the third act, they decide we need to destroy the boat and get off the boat so we can kill Dracula and leave, right? And I'm like, okay, that should be like the whole second half of the movie. That whole premise. Like, as soon as you discover the Dracula's on the boat, you should have a little bit where they debate whether or not that's good, and you have the character conflict since some of them like to keep the boat. Like, you got the guy who wants to inherit the boat. Maybe one of the guys is like, oh, I really need the money from this.
Yeah, I'm on his side.
I'm on his side. Maybe one guy's like, oh, these guys on my boat are like my family. I don't want to leave them behind. Like, something like that, right? And you have a little bit of some character squabbles and some dynamics, right?
Yeah.
Some conflict, inner conflict. And then once you get them to the decision to destroy the boat, you have like the planning stage, and you're like, okay, how can we destroy the boat? How can we survive on the boat long enough to make the plan come to fruition, right? And you can have like all these little things happening.
Instead they sit around and
then you build up to that big third act finale where it's like, where they do their whole plan and it somewhat works and then it kind of fails and then it somewhat works and then they have to make a sacrifice, right?
Yeah.
Instead, it's Dracula picks off a bunch of random nameless crew members for about an hour and 20 minutes. They spend 10 minutes having a debate while the old man rambles on and goes nuts because his grandson was killed. And then you have 30 minutes of them trying to do a plan and then failing and then running away.
And there's no sacrifice either.
No.
The movie, they all die and the movie stops.
Yes.
And then they tease like a spin-off.
Yeah, I put Dark Universe question mark. I was like, is Universal trying to start another Dark Universe?
They tease at the end, the one surviving crew member.
Yeah, the main guy.
Is sitting in a tavern. And he's like, I saw the horrors of Dracula. And I'm going to hunt him down. And then you see like Dracula like is in the tavern with him and he smiles and like knocks his hat off or something. I don't know. He like messed with him in some way and then walked out.
Ran away.
And then the guy like follows him outside and goes outside.
There's like an alleyway shot where they like, it's like a Western.
Okay, the funniest part of that shot to me was Dracula's not even gone. He's just like a little bit down the road. And then he turns around and smiles. It's not like he ran out and Dracula disappeared because he's a mysterious, creepy monster. No, he goes outside. Dracula is just like a few feet down the road. And then he turns towards Dracula. Dracula turns back towards him, smiles, and the movie ends.
Yeah.
So like they're teasing this spin-off about this character who's going to hunt Dracula that I guarantee you will never ever happen.
Not now.
There's no universe
if this
where
was
this
profitable, they would have done.
There's no universe where this movie was profitable.
No, I'm not saying it is. I'm saying if it had been,
yeah,
they would have done it. I applaud them for not going like, and I've changed my name
to Van
Helsing.
Like, yeah, I thought that they might do that.
I thought they might too. I fully expected.
Or I thought that they might reveal that was his real name.
That is his name.
Yeah.
Van Helsing.
What
they
was
didn't
his
go
name?
that way. I don't remember.
Dr. Connors.
I don't remember any other names.
Some guy.
Things I did like. I liked the atmosphere. Again, I liked the spooky boat. I liked the production design. I liked the look of the boat, as little as we see of it. I like how dark it was. Like they killed a kid.
Yeah, there was some.
They went pretty far there.
Gruesome kills.
There's some pretty. There's some.
What's
good,
the movie
okay,
rated?
Gore.
Was it rated R?
It's rated R.
Okay.
Yeah, some pretty gruesome gore. I like the look of Dracula. I like the premise. Like I feel like this could have worked really well.
I feel like this could have worked, but the way they did it was the worst way to do that.
Yeah. Anyway, it did 6.5 million opening weekend.
Ooh.
Yeah, on a $45 million budget. So it's got a B- cinema score, which is not great. I mean, that's pretty normal
terrible
for a horror movie, but
I feel like even compared to most of the horror
this
movies,
is a pretty high budget horror movie, so they needed to do better.
Even most of the horror movies we saw recently, I think or more interesting.
This
than
is the second Dracula film from Universal this year that has underperformed.
like
This is the third straight vampire movie.
What's the last horror movie? Whoa. What's the last horror movies we saw?
That you saw?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Saw
It's been a while since
Smile.
you've seen one.
I think Smile was Smile the
I
last
saw
one?
Talk to Me recently, and that was really good. If you're gonna see a horror movie, see Talk to Me.
Yeah, watch that one.
Watch that one. Don't watch this one.
Yeah, I think Smile was the last one, and it's honestly
Well, you saw like Scream.
Scream was better than this for sure, and Scream
Yeah.
was very goofy,
This
but
is
it wasn't
not-
really bad.
This is not great. I wish it would have been better.
Smile,
Especially since I
I
like
think,
people
was
in it.
also better, but the ending of Smile sucked balls. But the rest of Smile was pretty spooky. Megan, I'd say this was like on par with Megan. I think in terms of goofiness to spookiness ratio, it's on the same level as Megan.
Let's see. The Last Voyage of the Demeter. Again, that's a no recommend from either of us. Thought it was kind of mediocre. Might be worth checking out on streaming around Halloween time.
It was interesting to get a Morbius prequel.
I said this is the second Dracula film from Universal to bomb this year because Renfield also came out.
Well, yeah, I forgot about Renfield.
It's Demeter is currently sitting at a 51% on Rotten Tomatoes, 74% audience score. Want me to read some reviews?
Sure.
Lacking in plot, basic gore fest really tarnished the idea of Dracula as a complicated human monster. Killed off a child and dog for horror points. Really disappointing. I don't think he killed off the child and dog for horror points.
Okay, but they were definitely there for like to make you feel sad.
Well, they kind of introduced the idea of the captain going nuts after the kid dies, and like that's something.
But they only have that does not play into the story very much.
But you're obviously
the
supposed to
main
feel bad
reason
when
they
the kid
killed the
dies.
kid was because it's sad when you kill a kid.
Awesome movie. Oh, by the way, that one was 1 star. 5 stars. Awesome movie to see. I took my mom to see the movie. We had a good time.
That guy has not been into a movie theater in 13
Why
years.
do you take your mom for this? Great imagery. 5 stars. Creepy looking Dracula. Hopefully there will be a part 2.
I have bad news for this guy.
Nah, buddy. No.
I have a very sad news for you.
Unoriginal, full of cheap jump scares, and overall boring.
Yeah.
0.5 star. I don't think it was jump scare heavy.
There wasn't a lot of jump scares.
Well, there was a lot of Dracula jumping at
There was
people.
a lot of Dracula literally jumping off stuff at people. But there was not a lot of jump scares, but I do agree the movie was, for the most part, very, very boring. There were parts of it where I was like, maybe I should try to go to sleep.
They needed to cut stuff. Like, it feels like they didn't want to edit anything.
They needed to cut like almost half the movie, in my opinion. Like, I think there's a lot of time where it just
whittling it
drags
down to
on.
90 minutes would have been better. And
Yeah.
if they would have punched up that script to fit that time period, that time limit.
I like the guy who's wearing just like a beanie he got at Target. And like it very much is obviously something he got at Target.
Solid acting and visuals, but the story never really got going, and it eventually became evident that this was intended to start a franchise. Although what you could really do with just a few pages of a widely known story, I don't really know.
I agree with
presumably
that
the
for the most
franchise
part.
would have been the rest of.
I do agree. I think it is for the most part very well acted. I think just the
I like the cast. I like the direction for the most part.
I think just
the script again. Yeah,
the
I don't think the
not
script's
great.
very good.
Yeah.
Great movie, one of the best of the years. 4.5 star.
That guy has seen some very bad movies.
There's a lot of pretty good reviews for this. I guess people generally.
Okay, but it's
liked
also
it,
a horror
but
movie.
No one saw it. Same old story, little twist, very few jump scares.
Okay, that
Almost
guy's
dozed off.
that
This
guy's
guy wanted
upset.
more jump scares.
He's not enough jump scares. I do think it could have benefited from a couple more scary moments. There's not a lot of scary moments in this movie. Because the way Dracula behaves is so goofy, it's hard to take him seriously as a scary villain.
Yeah.
And while the kills are gory, you're so distracted by the fact that a goblin man is standing there that it's kind of hard to be like, this is scary.
Story was lame. Dracula was actually scary looking, but there was no connection to the characters, so you didn't really care about that they died.
There were also the rules for Dracula were not clear.
Well,
part of what makes Dracula scary, or vampires scary, is the rules that surround what they can and can't do.
To be fair to them, you can't really, like, none of the characters really know that much about him, so you can't really have any point where they explain his rules.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, like, it's hard to tell what Dracula is capable of because he is so poorly established as a character.
Basic vampire stuff.
He does a lot of basic vampire stuff, but like my point, like when he just disappears, Because that happens all the time.
He's just spooky.
But where is he on the boat?
He's hiding in a corner.
They searched the whole boat multiple times,
in one of the dirt
and he's
crates.
never there. Does he turn invisible?
He hides.
Where?
Don't they show where he's hiding one time?
He crawls out of one of the crates at one point. But it's his main crate.
Don't they show that he's like hiding like in between something or something? I feel like they cut to a shot of him like curling up in a corner or something.
He crawls in between two things at one point. But I think that's because he's chasing someone. I don't think that's because he was like hiding from someone.
I had 1.5 star. I had an issue with the way the cross was used in this movie. The cross should have had more power than that. Again, that was like teasing at the idea of like a religious implication and just not doing it.
In traditional vampire lore, usually like holy symbols ward off vampires. They can't look like usually they can't look at a crucifix. They can't like be around them. It like makes them scared or whatever. Like there's stuff that typically is associated with vampire lore that is ignored quite frequently in this movie.
Main actor was great. Agree with that. A couple of others were okay. Story was. I didn't think anyone was bad.
I don't think there was.
I think any of the weak characters are weak because they don't have anything to do.
They have no screen time and they're killed immediately.
Yeah.
Well, okay, actually no. They have a lot of time on screen. They just do nothing and then they die.
Story was stupid. Effects were really bad. I don't think the effects were bad.
Remember prostitute guy? He's just like, man, I sure do love banging whores.
Yes,
and then he dies.
Yes.
And his only defining personality trait was that he likes to bang whores. That was it.
Effects were really bad, especially I didn't think any of the effects were bad. I thought the effects were pretty solid all around. That's probably why it cost $45 million.
I think the effects were pretty good, although sometimes I think Dracula did look kind of goofy. Like there were sometimes where he looks rubber.
Well, they knew to keep him mostly in shadow, so he looks pretty good.
Like with the telescope one especially. When he had it, I don't know what it was about when they zoomed in on his face, but he just looked like a bucktooth goblin guy. Like he didn't look weird. He looked
especially the fire. Okay, I think I said this in the movie theater, but one of the fire effects does look like an After Effects plugin.
Yeah, it looks very fake.
Remind me again, what was the movie about? Okay, I generally agree with this guy's point that it's super forgettable.
I kind of forgot about the movie like until we started reviewing it.
All right, yeah. But a lot of positive reviews on here. I'm looking on Rotten Tomatoes, by the way. Oh, I should be on all audience. That's what I should.
I think that's just because there's been just a lack of classic horror characters movies recently. There hasn't been a lot of mummies, a lot of vampires, a lot of those kind of creatures.
You know, they keep trying to do a dark universe and
stop trying to make a dark universe and just make spooky movies.
They did.
They don't need to be connected.
They made one. They did that Invisible Man movie. Blumhouse did.
Yeah.
With that guy. Really good.
I don't remember that.
Anyway, that's the last Voyage of the Demeter. That is the last time you will likely hear literally anyone talk about this.
Yeah, it was not worth the time.
All right, well, that's about the end of the show.
I think that's it.
We will be back next week for the season finale.
Of season 3.
We're going to start season 4. I can't believe it's been
4 years of this show.
This terrible show. Which means all new look, all new set.
Kinda.
I'm going to move that around. Don't you worry.
We'll move the TV to that side.
We'll talk next week about Blue Beetle. I'm looking forward to that. Even if it's not great, I feel like we're going to have a lively discussion.
Yeah, Blue Beetle will be a fun conversation to have, but I am not expecting to enjoy the movie. If it's good, I will like it. If it's bad, which I suspect it will be based on the trailers, I think it will be.
Ahsoka also premieres next week.
Ooh,
so we'll probably talk
I'm
about that.
I'm excited for that.
So yeah, first 2 episodes.
Okay,
Ahsoka,
you know what I'm very, very, very tired of hearing.
What?
Hayden Christensen recorded voice lines for the movie. Guys, it's gonna be Hayden Christensen's gonna. I don't care.
He is in it.
I don't care though.
He's gonna be in one flashback scene.
I care this much about that. Like, he doesn't have to be in it. Whether or not Hayden Christensen is in it does not affect the potential quality of the product at all.
They're saying that because the fans love Hayden Christensen, but like, I feel like they put him in after Obi-Wan came out, and they were like, "Oh, people love that we brought Hayden Christensen back.
Let's
put him in
about.
as many things as we can."
I hope that he's not just like shoehorned in.
It's gonna be exactly like Obi-Wan. I think there was actually an image of that scene in the trailer. I think it's gonna literally be that scene from Obi-Wan where there's flashback.
They're dueling in that circle area.
It's gonna be the same scene, just plug in Ahsoka for Obi-Wan.
And
which I don't mind. They're gonna do it.
That's fine, especially because we haven't seen live action Anakin and Ahsoka together.
True. That would be interesting.
So that could be cool.
I'm interested to see who they would cast as a younger Ahsoka.
Yeah, that could be interesting. I mean, they probably just de-age Rosie Dawson, but like
But they'd have to flash back to like Clone War times.
They did flashback to Clone War times with Hayden Christensen like
a
few
but
months
Hayden
ago.
Christensen is like a 40-year-old man that they're getting to look like 20-something.
How old is Rosie
Ahsoka's like a 40-year-old woman that they have to make look 12. Because Ahsoka's like 12.
No, she was 17 at the end of the Clone Wars. She wasn't that much younger than Anakin.
She's still a teenager.
She was like 4 years younger than Anakin.
But Ahsoka's taking place in like post Return of the Jedi time.
Yeah, but
which is like
Rosie Dawson is playing an older version of the character.
Yeah, but
the character's older than she is.
They would just have to cast a younger person. I don't think they could digitally de-age her.
They did it. They made
because she'd have to be like considerably shorter.
Okay, the fight scene between Obi-Wan and Anakin and Obi-Wan took place around episode 2 because it's on Naboo.
But Obi-Wan also takes place like 5 years after
Anakin is 18 in that movie.
In that show, you mean?
In that flashback scene.
Well, that takes place
because he still had the Padawan braid.
Yeah, it takes place before Attack of the Clones.
Because he's 23, I believe, in Attack of the Clones.
Okay, but again, that show takes place 5 years after Revenge of the Sith. Ahsoka's taking place like 30 years after Revenge of the Sith.
Okay, but that doesn't. I'm talking about the age of the actor compared to the age of the digitally de-aged
I know,
version.
but like in that show, like there's less of a dissonance. I don't know.
People will not care.
It'll be a younger actors. That's all I'm saying. It's not going to be
a
digitally de-aged Rosario Dawson playing an 18.
They took 40-year-old Hayden Christensen and tried to make him look 20. Yeah, they did.
They just put a bunch of makeup on it. No,
it's the same thing. They'll just do that with her. Why wouldn't they just do that with her?
One is a child, one is an adult. Like
he was 18.
Hayden Christensen, they're making him look like a younger adult. Like Rosario, like that's a completely like. One is a grown woman and one is a child.
Ahsoka is a child.
It also depends on when they flashback. Because what if it's not at the end of Clone Wars?
Well, it has to be around then because Anakin's alive in the flashback, presumably.
It could be early on in the Clone Wars when she was like 12.
It could be. But it would be a lot easier if they didn't do that because they could still use her.
Well, whatever. We'll figure out when we watch.
We'll see when it happens.
Anyway, looking forward to that. We will see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.